Ladies and gentlemen,
hot beef.
There it is. Welcome in, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. We are back live on the air. It's Thursday, February 13th.
Hot beef.
Yeah, yes, Ben. Hot beef. I also like it. All right, but there's a time and place for
hot beef.
And I think this is it. I think we found it here on the Ben and Woods program. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. You know, I thought about hot beef more than I probably should have yesterday.
Same.
I went home and I clipped that. I made sure we saved it.
It's epic, dude.
At minimum, that's a 2 seed in the tournament of drops next month, right?
I want to say that we may have found. I want to say we may have found the shirt for the year. I really think that we have found the shirt.
I started
for
thinking
the year.
I want to just start calling Ben hot beef,
hot beef.
Jelly Roll.
Yes.
Your nickname is now Hot Beef.
Hot beef. Hot beef like Jelly Roll. We're walking.
It's not the worst nickname you can have.
It's not the best. No, it's definitely not the best. Hot beef is not the best.
I mean, beefcake is
Beefcake's good.
Hot is good. I mean, we're close to something really, really good here.
I think that's the shirt for the season.
Hot beef.
Ben and Woods hot beef. I don't know what it looks like, but I think that's I want it. I think I need to have it. We'll probably be up in the merch store by, I would say, Monday. That's Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor and otherwise known as Hot Beef.
Hot beef.
Speaking of Jelly Roll, I can't do a show without mentioning Jelly Roll, but Paulie and I were walking in together. We were walking down the hall. Did you see what's going on in the KSON studio?
No, I didn't go over there.
They have a full bed in there.
Shake that butt.
And I said, what's going on? And he said,
they cleared out a whole half of the studio.
There's
just a giant
bed.
king-sized
yes,
bed.
in their studio.
Like fully made? Or
Yes.
No, well, it's got the fart cover on it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have like the
pillows,
comfort pillows.
bedspread, and everything.
And so I'm like, what's going on in here? They're like, oh, we're doing a breakfast in bed for our listener. Somebody's going to win breakfast. They got to sit in here and lay in this bed while you guys are on the air?
Eating waffles while
Yeah.
you guys are like,
Listening
hey, you
to-
guys want to win some Stagecoach tickets?
And then there was a very crass joke made that had to do with Jelly Roll. Turn the mics up, I'll tell you. Tickets. So if you do that in the studio, you can win Jelly Roll tickets. So I started my morning with a laugh. We ended our evening yesterday with some pretty exciting news, I guess, if you're a San Diego Padre fan. And I say exciting, but I'm confused. And this organization is nothing if not confusing and almost mean. If I can say that,
That's one way to put it.
You guys are almost. If you're listening right now, you want to get our reactions. You're almost mean. We have been in here dying. I mean, dying. You've left us in the Sahara, and then we are on our last breath. And all of a sudden, you're like, I just bought you a case of Ozarka. Here's some water or some Eco water. Drink it down. And we're waiting. And we're dying in the desert. And you finally come through. You're nothing if not exciting and unpredictable.
You're saying the Padres are conducting some sort of massive psychological experiment on all of us.
It
where
works.
They now can say, we never said we weren't signing anybody.
Yeah, why would you guys?
You guys all decided that you thought you knew what we were doing. But
I heard you know-it-alls in there every day talking about how we were broke, and we actually never said it.
Never said anything about that.
No, never said it.
That's on you guys for assuming that we weren't going to go out and sign another, $55 million player.
Right. Well, and so as long as we're assuming things, here's how we think this all went down. I'll be AJ Preller.
All right, so
You be John Seidler.
I do feel like there is... People forget that baseball teams are businesses and they're people just like the rest of us. And there's a human dynamic and element that's at play. So, yes, go ahead. You be A.J. Preller,
All right.
and I'll be John Seidler.
John, can I spend some money, please?
No, we don't have any more money to
John,
spend.
John,
AJ,
John,
I
John,
know-
John, John, John,
I know
John,
you-
John, John, John.
I know you want to,
John,
and I support you fully, but
Thank
right
you.
now we just don't have the means to go beyond the
All right.
luxury tax. We just can't do it,
Okay.
but that's fine. You can come to me with anything.
How about now? Can I spend some
No,
money now?
I
Can I
told
spend
you.
some money now?
I
How about
told-
now? Can I spend
No.
some money now?
I told you.
I'm begging
we can't, AJ, we can't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I love you. I love you. We can't do it.
What about now? Can I spend some money now? Do you have any money
No.
now? You're rich. Don't forget you're rich. Hey,
I
look
get
at
it.
me. Look at me.
Maybe,
Look at me.
okay, maybe. All right. Maybe if
Have I
things
told
go
you?
well this off season, we
No,
may be
no.
able to do something next year. Just be patient. Be patient. And maybe at some point.
Have I told you how dynamic and handsome
You're
you
not
are?
going to change my mind.
I'm not. I don't want to change your mind. I want to spend some money.
I know.
I am a gunslinger. You are not letting me sling my guns.
We have to be fiscally responsible right now.
Fiscal
I get it.
these nuts.
I get it.
Please let me spend some money. Please.
Fine.
Yes,
Fine.
yes. Okay,
Fine.
thank
But you promise
Thank
next
you,
year
thank you,
we'll go
thank you.
back below the luxury
I
tax.
swear to God,
Right?
next
Fine.
year under the luxury tax.
Just, will
Don't
you
worry
stop?
about it. No,
will
no,
you
no, no.
stop
Shh.
pestering me?
Yeah, 100%. I will not ask you for
I don't want to
anything
hear it
else.
again.
Okay.
This is one. This is the one. This is it.
I may
This is
ask
your
you for
no,
maybe one more arm.
No.
Might get one more
No.
arm.
I just-
Yeah. I feel like that's how it went down. Knowing A.J. Preller a little bit, not knowing John Seidler even a little, I still don't even know if that picture of him is accurate. I don't even know if that's him.
No one can withstand A.J. Preller.
You can't do it, dude. You cannot do it.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, AJ. He. It's like when my sainted, beloved, beautiful, stunning peach of a wife gets something in her head. I call her the chisel, because what she'll do is she'll stick that chisel right between my forehead, and she just sits there and she goes, ding, 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 until blood is coming down, just a thin little layer of blood. And then you start to see bone, and then there's splinter, where I'm like, do whatever you want. Book it. Do it. I'm begging you. That's it. Me sitting in a chair. No. Come on, we can't do it. No, we can't. We don't need a new van. We're not even van people. I don't want to do road trips with these demons. 6 hours to Vegas? No, not with these dudes. Please, no. I can't. Hannah, I can't. I'm begging you. We don't have them. We can't afford this. It's so expensive. You know what? Just buy the effing van. Just go get the effing van, and let's keep this thing moving.
In this case,
dude.
the van is a starting pitcher, and its name is Nick
Pivetta. So, look, a lot of questions, a lot of still speculation. I mean, it's never as cut and dry as this. We needed an arm. We got an arm, right? It's not. And I don't know that you can look at it. I'm still a nervous wreck thinking, oh, God, does this mean, now that you've signed Nick Pivetta to this deal, it just means some guys are on the move? Is Dylan Cease out the door?
Or does it mean you're all?
Or does it mean you're like,
in?
let's go? We're gonna, go for this thing. So, I guess that remains to be seen. And we'll figure out. We'll try to do our best to read the tea leaves and figure out what this exactly means for the Padres. But I got to tell you, man, doing a little bit of a deep dive, reaching out to people I respect and trust that know the numbers of not Jacob Junis because that's another guy that I'd like to get the numbers of Nick Pivetta. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to be excited about as it pertains to Nick Pivetta, and I think I was excited to see them make a move. I really was. At a very base level, I was excited to see them make a move that I thought was a quote unquote. That's a real signing. That's a 31-year-old arm that can strike guys out, that is pitched in a big market, that is if he's nothing else, he is a massive competitor. A massive competitor.
Borderline psycho.
Borderline psycho, which I kind of like. So I like this, man. I like this a lot for the Padres, and we'll talk about it and parse it all out today.
At the very least, you can say that the Padres offseason pivoted yesterday.
It did pivot.
Yeah, it just pivoted yesterday.
He's trying to do a Pivetta.
Yeah, a little bit. And the contract structure, which we'll get into, is just wild.
It's amazing.
It's wild. It requires a bit of bensplaining, which we should probably get into as to what it all means and why it's structured the way it is, and why I think it's actually a good sign that the Padres probably aren't going to be trading Dylan Cease or Michael King, because if they were, you wouldn't necessarily have to structure it in such an unusual way. And that's just my quick take on it, but we will get into more of a deep dive on the signing of Nick Pivetta last night. And you know what? I was caught off guard and stunned.
It was stunning.
I'm excited to get your guys' thoughts because Woodsy tried to call me last night and give me his thoughts.
I did.
And didn't go very well.
It didn't go well.
We will we'll hear how it went.
Yeah, we'll recreate it.
We'll do that when we come back
It's
as
incredible.
well. Set the menu. We got Sammy spring training early in the first hour, so there's a lot of Padres stuff to get to early in the show today. We're even going to give away some spring training tickets. You can join Sammy spring training Sammy out in Arizona as well. All coming up. Kelly's got traffic. We know it's raining out there, so be careful. She'll have an update on the roadways, and we will get started with Ben and Woods on a Thursday morning on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, pro tip, and Paulie actually taught me this one. But if you are a baseball fan, you really need to have Jeff Passan on your notifications. Not just follow him, but you need to get like push alerts and, actual buzzes or sounds when he sends a tweet. Now, most of the time it's not going to be earth-shattering, but if you want to be the first to learn of big baseball news, that's the best way to do it. And Paulie always quickly texts when something big happens involving the Padres, and Jeff Passan reports it first. And that's how I found out yesterday. I was on the set, I believe, or getting ready to go out onto the set last night at Channel 10. I come back, I see my phone.
That sounds so fancy.
The set?
I was on set last night. It was no big deal.
That's what I was doing.
I was just on set.
And I believe the text from Paulie was simply, what? I go, uh-oh, I know something's happening.
Yep.
So I quickly went to, Passan, and there it was. Padres agreed to a 4-year, $55 million contract with right-handed pitcher Nick Pivetta, someone we talked about earlier this week.
We did. We actually talked about it yesterday.
As a possibility for the San Diego Padres, but not a likely one, given the cost and the necessary relinquishing of a draft pick because he received a qualifying offer from the Red Sox.
Yeah, I had mentioned Pivetta last week when you talked about maybe when the Robert Suarez news came around and you said, well, you unload Suarez, you save a little bit of money, but it's not going to be enough to get a guy like a Nick Pivetta, right? And then somebody in the chat said, yeah, also you don't want to give up that comp pick. So we started thinking about that. We noodled over it yesterday. And we basically came to the conclusion that AJ's done such a good job with these comp picks over the years. He uses them, none of those guys come up and help us, but he uses them to go out and get other talent. I'm like, it all boiled down to me. Well, why would I think that they have enough money to go out and sign Nick Pivetta? They haven't really done anything this offseason. And, I was in Little League meetings last night. I got the same text from Paulie and was blown away. I couldn't believe it. And it was a shock, and then it was kind of a cool surprise.
And now I think the new read on the offseason is that the reason it was so quiet is they were kind of saving their chips to do something a little more significant, and they didn't want to spend on a bunch of $5-6 million players because they wanted to add something they thought could really help and replace Joe Musgrove in the starting rotation with Nick Pivetta, who slides right into the number 4 spot in the starting rotation. So I got the text from Paulie, and then I assume you saw it as well.
Did.
And then what happened after that?
Well, then I got in the car after the Little League meeting, and I went to call Paulie because my first reaction was, all right, do we know anybody from Boston? The answer is, not really. I would love a Boston contact. Just to talk to.
Just on call whenever we need him.
Yeah, be like, hey, let's check in with our pal Lou Merlone in Boston. He's like, hey, good morning. You know what I mean? The former Padre, I believe. We need to get Lou on the phone. He's very active on Twitter. I think we can get him. But I want that Boston accent on our radio waves. I think it's fun. It's always fun to talk to those guys. So that was my initial reaction. Do we know anybody in Boston? And then it popped in my head, let's get Eno on to talk about it. We will be joined by Eno Saris at 8:35 this morning. Very, very excited about that. But as I went to call Paulie, I don't know what happened. I
was also in my car.
Correct. There was something that happened between our two phones.
It's like a glitch in the Matrix.
It was a glitch in the Matrix, and we've decided to recreate it for you.
Hello? Yo, can you hear me? Hello? Hang on one sec. All right, can you hear me now?
This is exactly what it sounded like.
All right, is this better?
Dude, you sound like a mouse. Hello?
I can't, it sounds like a weird robot. Hang on one second.
Paula, did you hear we got Nick Pivetta?
What the is going on? Hang on. If you can hear me, I'm going to restart my phone and try that.
That's exactly.
How did that even happen?
I have no idea.
I have no earthly idea, but it sounded like
Paulie
Bo.
sounded like a chipmunk.
And I was like,
You
like
sounded
the
like some
devil.
sort of like weird
And I didn't
robot.
know.
I think you said, yeah.
I didn't know what I sounded like to him,
And I didn't know
he
what I
didn't know what he
sounded
sounded
like.
like to me. And so all I heard was like just an occasional like.
And all I would hear is,
Hello.
I'm like, does Bo have your phone? What are you doing with my son? Bro, I was in, finally.
And I don't know. It was my phone was connected to my car.
Yeah.
Like not Bluetooth. It was
Yeah.
hardwire connected to the Apple CarPlay, which I've used a million times for a phone call, and it just did not work. It was like something crossed where I was high pitched and
Yeah.
sped up, and you were low and slow.
Did you hear we got Nick Pivetta? It's just, it was so stupid. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, are our phones tapped? It was fantastic.
What's going on?
It was fantastic. That was and it took like 6 tries to get it done last night. So yeah,
I literally had to like power off my phone,
Yeah.
unplug it, try it again,
It
and
was-
just normal like hello.
it was insane. But yeah, we got Eno Saris locked and loaded. He'll be coming on at 8:35. We'll be joined by Spring Training Sammy this morning as well.
Yes, and we
Sammy
will
spring training.
We will obviously get into the details of the Nick Pivetta contract in our next segment before spring training. Sammy joins us, and I mean, it's so crazy. They had one day of spring training yesterday.
One.
Mike Schilt was asked all about the competition for starting pitching jobs.
Hey, thanks a lot, cuz.
Went through all the options. He was giddy. And
He
just in
was so happy.
He was best day of the year. I mean, top 5 at least, pitchers and catchers. He was just so happy. And then we find out, I don't know, maybe he knew already what was happening, But we find out then later in the first day of spring training that the Padres go out and make a pretty significant move to add a starting pitcher.
Like yesterday morning, Stephen Kolek was the big news. Oh, he's going to be stretched out into a potential starter. He's going to get to compete for a starting spot.
And he still will.
He still will,
still
of
will.
course. But that competition just got a lot harder.
Hey, bud. Hey, Steven. Never mind.
5 guys fighting for 2 spots just became 4 or 5 guys fighting for 1 spot.
Yeah.
Which
Exactly
is
right.
an
That's
enormous
great.
difference.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it almost you almost feel like you need to keep a spot open. Like one of those guys is going to look pretty good in spring training. You're going to want them in your starting rotation. It was always the needing to find 2 of them and rely on that for 40 to 50 starts. That was what we were worried about.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, at least for the moment, you feel like, okay, now the Padres have enough starting pitching probably to get through a Major League Baseball season.
Yeah. I mean, again, you never have enough.
Yeah,
you
knock
can
on
never
wood,
have
you
enough.
know.
But
I mean, right now today, as it slots out, you got Cease, King, Darvish, Pivetta, Waldron.
Yeah,
And then with
or it's
Vasquez,
or it's
Kolek.
Kolek, or it's Brito.
Brito.
I mean, they'll give a chance to anyone, I think, to grab that spot. But the
Well, again,
greatest-
I don't think they're done.
And
I don't think they're done. I don't think they're done. I think you're going to see new faces. I think you'll see new faces maybe even by tomorrow. And I think you'll see new faces next week. And I think you might see new faces the week after that. I mean, look, there are still a lot of names out there. There's still a lot of guys looking for jobs. And guess what? Those guys all did what we did yesterday. They went to their computer and they put on MLB Network and they saw their buddies out playing and running and doing PFPs and stretching. And you know what they want to be? They want to be with their buddies. They want to be playing baseball. That's what they do for a living. So there's actually a ton of still beyond serviceable arms sitting out there waiting for jobs right now. So as much as it sucked, as much as we feel like they left us hanging, at least this was something to get the fan base a little bit excited again. And it fired me up, man. It fired me up a lot.
all right, we'll dive into the contractual details of Nick Pivetta to the San Diego Padres coming up in our next segment. First, though, speaking of contracts and details, Trust and Will is your source when you do not have your wishes set out on a legal document. Nothing really matters. The state will then decide what happens to your assets, maybe even your kids, if something should happen to you. Yet, there's a very simple and affordable way to make sure that your wishes are followed if you are gone, and that is by going to trustandwill.com and filling out your estate documents.
Yeah, well, think about this. I mean, if you're not around anymore, everyone is suffering, well, for the most part. People are upset, and then they have to go in and they have to potentially go to probate court because you didn't do a trust. You have to do a trust to avoid probate. Even if you have a will, probate, you have to do it. So make sure you get the trust as well. That way, you can bypass it entirely. You don't want your wife, your kids locked up in probate court for 9 to 18 months, making a really bad situation already worse. So all you got to do is go to trustandwill.com. Use the code San Diego, one word, when you check out. It's trustandwill.com. San Diego is one word. Get 10% off plus free shipping of your estate plan documents.
And all of this in about 20 minutes. You can even select a guardian for your children if you have kids who are underage.
Yeah.
It's just, the peace of mind is incredible.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, go to trustandwill.com. Do it today. Trustandwill.com. We'll be right back.
Very happy birthday to one of our most loyal and active Tier 1s, Rafa, in the chat. Happy birthday, buddy. I don't know how old you are. Doesn't really matter. Just wanted to give you our love and thank you for being in the chat every single day, showing up at our events. You're the best, man.
This one goes out to the one I love.
Yeah, I love him, but I don't love him in that way. Like I like him. This one goes out to the one I like.
Right.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
We wouldn't leave you behind.
Correct.
All right, we've got Sammy standing by, but first, let's just get into some of the details. What are the Padres, first of all, getting in Nick Pivetta, and what are they paying, really, to acquire him? Nick Pivetta, do some research last night. Big guy, about 6'5", right-hander, throws hard, going to hit upper 90s, 96, 97 on the fastball. Really good. I mean, if you just look at record and ERA,
yeah,
it's gonna be underwhelming.
Yeah.
You're gonna say 6-12, ERA in the 4s. Why did the Padres just spend $55 million on a mediocre pitcher? And if that's your take, that's your take. But
bit ill-informed.
There are definitely some signs that Nick Pivetta is someone you want to have in your starting rotation. He's got a really good strikeout to walk ratio. So, throws strikes, throws hard, strikes batters out more than one per inning, generally over the course of his career. So he can get swing and miss. As you said, Woods, he's got a real reputation as a solid competitor. And some of the numbers behind the numbers actually indicate he could be even better than they saw with the Red Sox. Was a mainstay in the rotation the last 4 years. Pretty much 2 WAR a season, right around 2 every single year, which value-wise nowadays, 1 WAR is worth about $9 million on the open market.
Between 8 and 9, yeah.
So you're essentially getting an $18 million pitcher for $4 million this year.
Yeah.
Now you're going to pay $19 million next year, but that's not a huge overpay either next year for Nick Pivetta. So ultimately, this deal of 4 years and $55 million is being viewed around baseball as a real nice bargain for the San Diego Padres. That's the takeaway right now. Now we'll see if it truly plays out that way. If he makes
AAV under $14 million,
yeah,
if you break it all down that way,
it's going to cost the Padres, if they don't make any other moves, it'll cost them a little bit in luxury tax because they're now about $17 to $18 million over the luxury tax level. But you're only taxed on the amount that you're over, and you're only taxed 20% on that amount. So 20% on $18 million is about $3.6 million. So they're paying essentially an extra $3.6 million in luxury tax for one season. And they're not calculating it now either. That could change by the end of the year. But at the moment, they're over the luxury tax. It's interesting that, all the discussion this offseason about staying under the luxury tax does not seem to have been relevant because it doesn't look like the Padres, unless things go really bad and they trade off Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez and maybe someone else. Yeah. Doesn't look like they'll get under the luxury tax this year. So it seems like they're okay going over it.
Good.
Which, that was kind of my point at the beginning of the offseason. It's okay to go over it, by at least a marginal amount here because you got under it last year.
Correct.
So your penalties
don't miss it by an inch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your penalties aren't going to be overly, it's not like you're a repeat offender over and over again. It's okay if you have to go over it to put a competitive pitching staff on the mound for your team this year.
No, I like it, man. I really do. Looking at some of his rankings, and you got to remember too where he pitched. He pitched at Fenway Park, and I think him and Petco, he was on a bad team. He's a bad team last year.
Mediocre team.
Mediocre. They weren't great.
81 and 81.
Yeah,
mediocre.
The definition of mediocre. I like this move. I like the competitive fire that he has. He is one of those guys. And so, yeah, man, again, that contract that you just laid out, that's more than adequate. It's just fine. It's absolutely fine by me. And it addresses such a need in the rotation. That's the main thing. It addresses such a need. And it's not, look, man, at the end of the day, you could have gotten Martin Perez back, and it was fine when he was here. Really nice dude, but, a little bit long in the tooth. This one actually feels like, okay, like this This guy can actually do something. He can do something. You're not kind of crossing your fingers every time he takes the bump. And, slots right in, absolutely fills a need, and not a ton of money, especially this year and next.
Now, given the fact that we've seen this multiple times with Nick Pivetta, with Michael King, and his oddly structured contract, Padres clearly are trying to keep their real cash outlays this season from climbing too high. And whether that's a directive from the new ownership and, John Seidler, or whether that's from Major League Baseball saying, hey, you have to remain in compliance with your debt service rules. And that's based on what you're actually spending this year. You can't really go above $200 million. We won't let you. I don't know where that's coming from, but there seems to be a very obvious need for the Padres to not spend actual cash this year beyond what they've pretty much already committed to. So they're at their upper peak, right around $200 million with what they can spend in actual money. But, the luxury tax, that's more of a flexible thing that, you can work with and massage a little bit to try to get the best roster you can on the field.
Oh, I like that.
Massage?
Yeah.
A little massage?
Yeah. Like
So,
that a lot.
Next year, $19 million, they're probably going to have to find money to offset that. But you've got, Eric Hosmer's money coming off the books. Dylan Cease's money is coming off the books, whether you trade him or he just leaves in free agency. Robert Suarez probably going to opt out. There's money to pay for this deal in upcoming years. Now, is there an element of you just keep pushing back the pain, just like on credit cards, and you keep buying on credit cards? Eventually,
It's going to catch up.
The bill collector is coming, and there's going to be a reckoning at some point. But I don't get the sense that you worry too much about that.
Yeah, I'm looking. I think my theory's out the window, but home games, he was 3-6 with a 3.86, 72 innings, whip of 116, struck out 92, walked 23. On the road, he was 3-6. 4.42 ERA, so he's higher on the road. Started 14 games, gave up a lot more homers, which is weird. A lot more homers on the road. 20 bombs in comparison to 8. Walked fewer guys.
As a right-handed pitcher, though, at Fenway, you're not necessarily dealing with the monster. You're dealing, you got that big gap in right center for the lefties that are the power hitters.
Yeah,
so.
I'm looking to his splits against right and left actually pitches a little bit better against lefties. Throws a little bit better against lefties than he does against righties. His whip is lower, strikes out more guys. And so, it's got kind of the reverse split for Nick Pivetta. But again, I'm excited to talk to Eno because when you get into underlying stats and things like that, look, a little bit hard for some people to understand, but you looked at his expected ERA last year. I think it finished at 4.14, but his expected was right around 350, something like that. So very, very good.
Now, what is we teased it earlier a little bit. What does your gut tell you? Does this mean more moves to come in the sense of like Dylan Cease is now definitely gone, or we're all in, we're keeping Cease, and now we have a solid at least a 1 through 4 in the rotation, and
I think it's a fair question.
Last
man.
year's business.
I think it's a fair question
because if you trade Cease next week, I think this was a 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards.
Right. And we talked about this morning. I pitched it to Ben. I said, all right, man, we got Nick Pivetta, and in all of our minds, we've now got the whiteboard, and we've got, Cease, King, you, Pivetta, TBD. And we're all okay with that right now.
Yeah.
A lot of teams in that same position. Yes, a lot of teams. Looking for our 5th starter. Who's it going to be? Matty Walden. Who's it going to be? Man, if you go out now and you trade Dylan Cease for a absolute haul, and let's say Robert Suarez too, and just hypothetical, Baltimore Orioles, who have done less than nothing. They put together a nasty package. They're desperate, and they want to win. And they saw what the Red Sox just did, signing Alex Bregman. They saw what the Yankees did this offseason. They want to compete. They have a good young team, and their fans demand it. So they put together a nasty-ass haul for Dylan Cease and Robert Suarez. And it's big. It's a big haul. What do you do as a Padre fan? How's your reaction going to be? I'm going to be pretty mad if you trade Dylan Cease. I really am. I'm like, okay, now you had me kind of sold with these guys at 1 through 4.
Big haul means guys 2 or 3 years away.
Potentially,
Big haul of major league ready guys.
And I think it would take some wind out of the clubhouse sales. I think this puts a little wind in. If you trade Heath, I think it sucks it right back out. I do. That's just my gut feeling. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it should. It might.
I think you're still listening.
Anything's possible,
I think
right?
you're always still listening, but my sense is that the Padres wanted to put together a good starting rotation, and now they feel like they have one. They have a rotation that can match up with everyone but the Dodgers probably in baseball now.
Absolutely.
At least 1 to 4, and
Yeah.
we'll see if one of those guys comes through as a number 5. That being said, we don't know anything about the San Diego Padres.
We don't.
The insiders
Obviously.
don't know anything. The reporting, Kevin Acee and Dennis Lin are writing, doesn't look like they're looking to trade King and Cease anymore.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. But they've also been saying probably weren't going to sign anyone like Nick Pivetta, and they just did. So I don't know what any of us knows about the San Diego Padres. We're all just kind of guessing at this point, and we'll wait and see. I know someone who's right there, though. In the middle of it, it is Spring Training Sammy. He's going to join us right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Eliminate Termite, the orange oil experts. Well, guys, if I mentioned every accident on our wet roadways, this would be a 5-minute report. Not going to happen. I talked about North County last report, so let's focus on elsewhere around the county. Got this vehicle that wound up spinning out, going into the bushes in the center divide on South 5, just past Gilman, West 8, past Waring Road. Solo spin out, wound up over the right shoulder embankment. Also westbound King Freeway before Kelton, collision in the center divide. Eastbound King Freeway with the North 15 connector ramp, a collision. Then another crash, eastbound King, just past Kelton. This one has got the right lane blocked. Okay, I will mention a couple accidents in the North County. South 15 past El Norte Parkway, there was a crash being cleared out of middle lanes. Further down, right before Falicita, crash in the center divide. Then an accident before Mira Mesa Boulevard. That's got the HOV lane blocked. Have termites, Eliminate Termite, inspects, treats, and repairs termite damage, all with a full structural warranty. Their orange oil treatment is safe for people, pets, and the planet. No tent, no move out. Protect your home naturally. Schedule a free inspection at eliminatetermite.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, he was a busy bee yesterday. Sam Levitt is doing work already on day 1 of 6.5 weeks. Spring Training Sammy joins us right now from Peoria, Arizona. Sammy, were you as caught off guard as the rest of us by the move last night for Nick Pivetta?
Yeah, I certainly was. I was getting ready to do my Wednesday night show here in the Airbnb, and I think you guys covered pretty much all of it in the first couple of segments here. I was really, really, really surprised. Now, from a baseball standpoint, I love it. As this team is currently constructed, the top 4 in your rotation now, I think you feel really, really good about. Look, it does raise questions about what could come next, although what you see was written by Kevin Acee last night, Dennis Lin today. Maybe this is just going to end up being a little bit different than what we anticipated as far as staying above the luxury tax and keeping that cash payroll low. But from a baseball standpoint, it's great. I think there's a lot of upside for all the reasons you guys mentioned, and I'm pretty excited about it. Caught off guard, but I think in the best of ways.
How was old Schulte yesterday, Sammy?
Mike was good, in a good mood,
Beaming.
He loves baseball, so he was in a very, very good mood. Happy to be there. Obviously, I think honestly, the biggest news that came out yesterday before this Nick Pivetta signing, of all things, was Stephen Kolek being lengthened out and being a candidate for one of at the time 2 rotation spots. I would still assume he's going to get lengthened out, and maybe he becomes a depth option at some point. I don't know where he stands really as far as winning, the final spot when you have Waldron and Vasquez and Brito. But Mike Schulte was in a good mood, and it was a pretty run-of-the-mill day 1, I would say. A lot of good stuff to watch and see, but obviously pretty run-of-the-mill until it wasn't when the signing got announced.
So a lot of familiar faces, obviously, with not a ton of turnover, but there were a couple of new faces. Who's someone you met yesterday for the first time, Sam?
Who's somebody I met for the first time yesterday?
Did you run into Ron Marinacchio? Or
I did see Ron Marinacchio.
Okay.
I did not introduce myself.
Okay.
I didn't introduce myself to a ton of the new guys yesterday. The thing is, to be honest, it's day 1. and we've got 40-plus days, so I'm not trying
You
to...
got to pace
rush.
yourself.
Yeah, pace
Martin
yourself.
Maldonado. I mean, there are a couple new guys
He
there.
was in there a little bit. I talked to Matt Waldron a little bit. I talked to Jake Cronenworth for a while. I talked to Luis Diaz for a while. Said hello to Luis Campusano. There were a number of guys. Yesterday, I did not have an extended conversation with anybody I didn't know. We've got plenty of time, and you don't want to rush it too much. So we'll get to that today. Look, a lot of new faces. It's it's amazing when you look around a clubhouse and you see all these new guys, and we make such a big deal out of all these open competitions and all these names we'll talk about in the next 6.5 weeks over the course of the season. As we know, typically you don't mention many of them, but there are a lot of new faces to introduce myself to. So we'll get to that as the first week goes along for sure.
Any Tirso swings yesterday?
Yeah, I saw him take live BP. I'll tell you this, and I knew this from seeing him the last couple of years. He is a big guy.
Big dude.
I mean, you want to talk about strong, muscular, big guy, looks like a home run hitter. He does. I talked about it, I think, on Annie and Elston yesterday. I think on my show last night. Look, obviously, I think the calculus for him has changed a little bit with the signings of Joe and Hayward. But to me, and again, you look around that room, you see so many new faces. I think it makes you realize that there's still a lot of opportunity. I mean, somebody like Tirso should have a really good shot to make this team as a bench outfield type. So I did see him take some live BP. Couple of arms on the backfields, I will say, that stood out just from my not totally all the way educated baseball scout opinion, but two guys that I thought looked really good. Number one, young prospect by the name of Braden Nett, who I think they're pretty excited about. Top 30 prospect, I'm not sure where without looking via MLB Pipeline. Looked really good. He got a lot of swing and miss. He had a great sequence against Leodalis DeVries, who was there and looked a little bit bigger to me. And he and Salas were together for a while and taking live BP. And also Edwardiel, trying to say that right. Edwardiel Nunez.
Like Edward and Daniel together. Edwardiel.
I have to confirm. I believe it's Edwardiel Nunez. Thought the stuff looked really, really good in his live BP, and he was drawing some kind of oohs and ahs from the Padres folks in attendance. So keep an eye on Edwardiel Nunez, who could be a contender for perhaps a bullpen spot or somebody you could see at some point this season.
You mentioned DeVries just quickly. I saw who is he blockering right between in the big league clubhouse?
He is between Bogarts and Hayward.
Interesting. Nice. Sticking the 18-year-old right between two of the most veteran players.
That's how it's done.
in your clubhouse. How about that?
Well, you might remember, and it was a different situation because I think Merrill was far closer than DeVries a year ago. But Merrill, I don't remember who he was sandwiched in between last year, but it was similar. It was that side of the clubhouse in between a couple of veteran guys. Ethan Salas has a locker in there. I have not confirmed this. He looks bigger to me. Like every time we see him in spring training, he looks taller.
That's what happens to teenagers.
They grow, Sammy.
It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder of how young these guys are. I didn't see either DeVries or Salas do anything super notable during the live BP, but they're both there. Salas has a locker, and it'll be good to see those guys and continue to see how they develop.
All right, Sammy, back to work. Get to the complex. I know you'll have updates later in the day here on 97.3 The Fan, and we will anticipate talking to you tomorrow after the latest A.J. Preller stunner or whatever he does next.
And speaking of AJ, he is scheduled to speak today, so we will have some of that for you.
I believe 9
he's scheduled to
o'clock our
speak
time?
today.
Did not know that. We have not heard from AJ.
9 o'clock our time?
Yes,
Wow.
Paul. Yeah, so we should have some of that for your listeners.
Turn it around quickly for us. Interesting. All right, thank you, Sammy.
That's on Adam Klug. So
all right, spring training, Sammy.
Shut up.
With and we'll get some reaction. I guess we'll have some explanations from AJ Preller after the signing of Nick Pivetta, which has not been officially announced. I believe it is still pending the physical.
Doesn't this feel good?
Feels really good.
Do you hear that? AJ Preller's going to talk later. We got a new pitcher. Got some big arms out. Doesn't this feel good?
Yeah, and
let it wash over you for a second.
Yeah, sometimes patience is all.
Oh,
needs a little bit of patience.
Shut your pie hole.
You made a good point, Woods, last hour, that there is a pressure that comes with the starting of spring training on players who haven't signed yet.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I don't think it's any coincidence, not only Nick Pivetta, but had the big Alex Bregman signing yesterday. I haven't mentioned that yet, but the Red Sox agreeing to a 3-year, $120 million deal with Alex Bregman, reportedly about $30 million of that deferred or something like that. They said the actual real value is about $30 million a year, so $90 million in real money for Alex Bregman. But
he has opt-outs after every single year.
yes,
So this year, from the Boston Red Sox are going to pay Alex Bregman at a minimum $30 million to play third base for them. I'm assuming they're going to move Rafi Devers
to second.
Is that what they're saying?
Well, or short.
Short. He can't even play third.
Well, I mean, they could move Bregman to short. And
Bregman
leave
at short.
Devers at third. Their infield defense is a question mark at this point.
Trevor Story, I thought, was coming back for them.
Yeah.
That was kind of a rough one for the Red Sox. Makes their lineup formidable, man. Right? Absolutely. So Bregman's going to get 30 at a minimum, 10 down the road from them. He has
Essentially, yeah.
He has a good season, not great. He opts back in for another 30, 10 more down the road. Has a great season at 33, whatever, 33, 34. Opts out. That's the last year of his contract. So the shorter term higher.
And a 34-year-old Bregman off a monster year, if he opts out, still going to get another payday.
But is he? That's my thing.
Probably.
That's the thing now is like.
I mean, he didn't have a monster year.
He didn't have a monster year, but he's got a pedigree.
He had a good year, 260, 26 home runs.
It's a good year these days.
70-something RBI. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good year. Going to turn 31 next month,
Yeah.
so he's still kind of prime, but on the back half of the prime, and there's just a hesitancy to go with those longer-term deals now for any player that's in their 30s.
I totally understand. But so let's make this make sense for me. Did you see the report? And again, we don't know if this is true, but did you see the reports of the other deals he was offered? He wanted a long-term deal. He was holding out essentially for a long-term deal. He got long-term offers. He got 6-year offers, I do believe.
Tigers offered him 178 or something. But why would you take 178 when you get 120? Then you feel like you're just playing 3 years on the absolute cheap when you can play out your 120, and then all you need to do is sign a 350 or 360, and you're getting more money overall. So why
were you holding out for a 6-year deal, and then you get a 6-year deal, and you're like, I don't want a 6-year deal. I want a 3-year deal with opt-outs after every year. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I think. If it was stability that he was looking for, and that was the rumor that he wanted 6 years, he did not want to do this again. Now he's going to be doing it every offseason.
Well, if you're trying to, you always have the
Bregman's
ability.
playing second, by the way. Bregman.
He's going to move to second. That's the most likely outcome, yes. But you can always have stability if he loves it. If he loves it in Boston,
yeah,
and he hits. By the way, he hits really well at Fenway Park. Whether that carries on as a home player, but as a road player, he's always hit really well. If he loves it there. He opts in. He can sign a team-friendly deal. I'm sure the Red Sox would be happy to keep him, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's just trying to maximize his value over the next 6 years. Is it by signing a 6-year 178 or a 3-year 120 and then another 3-year at whatever he can get after 3, hopefully decent seasons?
Yeah.
This is probably the best way to maximize his value. And he doesn't necessarily lose that stability. If he plays well, Boston's going to want to keep him. They're going to be happy to keep him, especially if he's willing to extend at some point on a slightly more team-friendly deal because, it'll be age 34, 35, and 36, not 31, 32, and 33. Made sense to me, actually. The Bregman deal actually did make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of cash. A lot of cash. Red Sox, they had money to spend. Their fan base was up in arms that they hadn't really spent it yet. And now they did. And I think this is a really, really good move for them. The AL East is getting kind of nasty again with what, the Orioles have. They haven't done much, but Blue Jays have made some moves. Yankees have made some moves. Obviously, they lost Juan Soto. And, of course, now the Red Sox doing their thing as well. Never can count out Tampa for some reason. But, yeah, it should be an interesting one.
So you had that move yesterday. My guess would be you will see a flurry of other moves over the next few days as players see, as you said, see their buddies, showing up at camps.
It made
and
me sick,
You feel
dude.
kind of left out, and it's time to get back to work. And not that they're discounts necessarily. It's certainly not for Alex Bregman, but you can feel fine waiting and being patient. At some point, though, the pressure starts to mount. Like, I need to make a decision here now.
Yeah.
I need to pick somewhere, and he picked somewhere.
Yep, he did.
Was it perfect? Maybe not. I don't know, but I'm sure he's probably pretty happy with the deal, and the Red Sox were willing to spend it. So there he goes to Boston.
There he goes, off to Beantown.
That's pretty much it for the major free agents.
I think so. Yeah,
I think they've pretty much most of the top 50, almost all of the top 30 have landed somewhere at this point. So now it's simply veterans who are, kind of waiting to see teams maybe that need to add someone because of an injury. Now it's down to a different class of players. And it's also, by the way, when you get to this point, a lot of veterans will make their decision not necessarily on money, because the money's going to be the same low forever. No one's spending a ton on these veterans. It's now opportunity. Like what team gives me the best chance to win?
Right.
What team gives me the best chance to play? What's the clubhouse? Where do I get to live? And I think the Padres are well positioned compared to a lot of baseball to be attractive to players
Sure.
like that. My guess is Jason Hayward probably had other $1 million offers out there, but felt like he had an opportunity with the Padres, had a chance to win perhaps with the Padres, and it gives the Padres a chance to land some of these other players. And I think they still have another 1 or 2 spots left on the 40-man roster,
Yep.
so they can pick through some of the guys and go, hey, it's not how much we can pay you. It's, do you want to join what we've built? The Dodgers, everyone wants to join the Dodgers, but they don't have any room left. They've already filled their roster up. They don't really have any room left. Padres do. Would you like to join the San Diego Padres and be part of what we've built? We can't pay you a ton, but you're probably not getting a ton anywhere else. So now you're just kind of selling yourself and your organization on those remaining players, and if they want to be part of what you're trying to put together.
Yeah, no question. I was just looking over some of the names, and again, I mean, this kind of the last remaining guys: Patrick Corbin, Anthony Rizzo, Mark Canha, Justin Turner, Kyle Gibson, Jose Quintana is an interesting one. Ross Stripling, Andrew Haney, left-hander, J.D. Martinez, one of the best hitters of the modern era. David Robertson, Lance Lynn. They're talking. I saw some rumors of Lance Lynn wanting to close games. Empty the tank. Still throws okay. Like, gives up a lot of homers though for a guy that I
don't
think,
see that as a fit for the Padres.
I don't see that as a fit at all for the Padres, but you never know.
I mean, there's a lot of guys though. They all are going to need to land somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, man.
And there's still a lot of teams that could use more depth. As AJ says, you always use more pitching. So, they will land somewhere, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone that you just mentioned on that list, and there are others as well, that there's another name that the Padres land before the end of spring training.
Spencer Turnbull's an interesting one. Jacob Junis is an interesting one. There's some interesting names with some good stuff. We can ask Saris too at 8:35 who he thinks is kind of the the next maybe hidden gem out there for teams to look at right now. But hey, man, at the end of the day, I'm pretty excited about this move. It's a bit of a relief, and it's not only a relief because you filled a slot. It's a relief because you're like, all right, we feel like a baseball team again, right? You feel like you're a baseball team again, and not the Marlins. You feel like, okay. Whew. Now again, let's couch that by saying we've got no idea what's coming in the next 3 weeks, a month, whatever. It could absolutely flip on its head, and we're sitting in here going, "Oh my God, we just traded 2 guys off our major league roster for some prospects." That could absolutely happen. As if we've learned nothing, we learned that this team don't really care what we think. They don't really care what you think. Like, they're going to do what they feel is in the best interest of the team, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to get too comfortable right now.
Do you feel like there was a change of heart in the
don't
Padres
know.
front office,
I
or
don't know, man.
that they were always thinking this is something they could do?
And
Because
just be patient and wait it out.
Because was it a miscalculation to not say, hey, no, they could have said earlier in the offseason, Yeah, we're going to do something. We got a little bit of money to spend. We're going to go out and get some. We're going to be patient about it, but we're going to go find someone. Don't worry. I don't see everyone's panicking. They think we have no money. That's not true. We do have some flexibility. We could go out and sign some guys.
The only inkling we got of it at all was AJ Preller at FanFest saying we need a couple arms and we need a couple bats.
Before that, it was radio silent.
It was radio silent. And since he said it, he's done 3 out of 4, right?
Got an arm, a couple of bats.
That's right. So
not hugely expensive bats, obviously, but the arm was a little more than we thought they'd be willing to spend.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was a change or if there was simply this was always kind of what AJ's offseason plan was, and now we're all just getting let in on it. On the backside of the decisions.
That dude moves in the dead of night. I mean, he really, really moves in the dead of night, and you can't corner him. It feels like so. It was very, very surprising, and let's be honest, it was very pleasantly surprising to get that news yesterday. I was fired up, like, good. Finally, we feel like a baseball team again, and we can come in and talk about our baseball team and not about litigation or anything like that, and worrying how many pennies we're going to pinch.
If they had done this at the beginning of the offseason,
I think everyone would have been a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, but then after months of not doing anything, and I don't know, maybe it has less of an impact than waiting and doing it now.
But holy crap, so I did see people saying too, well, couldn't we have given this money to Jerks and Profar, right? And I think the answer is, at the time, I don't know. That's why I do tend to agree there was a change of heart. No, again, we don't know the whole story. We have no idea. They might have looked at Jerkson and said, no, like, we love you. We love what you bring, or we love what you brought. I don't know that he's going to be able to replicate it again, so we'll take our chances with something else. That could very well have been the plan from get-go.
Our best is like half of
what you're going to get. So
for.
If you got it, go get it, Jerkson, right? Yeah. Like, if you can go get that bag, go get it, man.
I just think from a baseball standpoint, for what the Padres need, Nick Pivetta is more valuable to them than Jerks and Profar at this moment.
I mean, I think I agree. I do. I think I agree. Higgy, right? Like, those are the ones that you just kind of looked at and went, oh, man, we can't even afford this. So this was that feeling again of going, oh, we did have some squirreled away somewhere, in the Christmas stocking.
I mean, I absolutely felt that same way about not necessarily Profar specific, but you see the initial report, like your first reaction, you see the numbers and you go, oh, we had $55 million to spend.
Correct.
Like,
yeah, we didn't know
the hell is that?
We didn't know the creativity of the contract or anything. You saw that and you went, oh, wow, okay.
And my first reaction was honestly like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
that's a lot of dough.
It's a lot of money for Nick Pivetta. And then you do a deep dive and you kind of look at the creativity. Like, look, credit to Nick Pivetta as well, because you need to have a partner, a willing partner, to have a creative contract like that. He knows the situation that the Padres are in. So I give him and Michael King all the credit in the world for
being
doing
flexible.
what they did, being flexible with that. Yep. But, then I looked at the numbers and, I was talking to some friends. Were like, hey, this guy has Ruben Niebla project written all over him.
Not even a project per se. A project is Stephen Kolek.
Yeah.
This guy's a bit of a finished product that gets more established.
Of course.
But you can get some fine-tuning. You pitch in a better ballpark. You pitch on a better ball club. You pitch with a much better defense behind you. A much better defense. Sky's the limit. So
Ruben Niebla takes a C+ student,
makes him to a B-.
B+, whatever. Like,
I love it, man.
There's improvement to be had.
Yeah, I mean, I like it in the chat. Like Rod says, you want to picture him walking in, John Seidler walking, release the hounds or something. But like, we'll see. I don't know that we'll ever know exactly how it panned out, but sure would love to know.
Woods made a astute prediction yesterday during Don't Do This. We will update you on something that he just nailed 100%. I saw that yesterday. I go, wow, Woods called that one incredibly. And if you've got astute predictions yourself, you can turn them into real cash with Prize Picks Daily Fantasy. 10 million members and billions of dollars in winnings already awarded. I've gotten a little bit of chunk of that as well myself. Prize Picks making Daily Fantasy accessible to everyone. All you have to do is pick more or less on between 2 and 6 players on their stat projections. You can win 1,000 times your cash running your game with Prize Picks. It's basketball season. All-Star Weekend is Coming up, and you can set lineups, including the three-point shooting contest on Saturday, slam dunk contest, the game on Sunday with all your favorite NBA stars like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and many, many more. Points, rebounds, assists, combine them together, turnovers, steals, whatever you want. They've got different opportunities for you to set lineups on every single game. It's easy to play. It's easy to download. Just go to prizepicks.com and use the code KWFN. When you do, you're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Just free money to play with on sign up by using the code KWFN at prizepicks.com. You can deposit using Apple Pay, Venmo, MasterCard now, and when you get your money back, it happens really fast, as quickly as 15 minutes right back into your account. It's awesome. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Don't do this. Brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. And before I start, let everybody know that we've got some Padres spring training tickets to give away at the end of Don't Do This. So stay tuned for the next 6-7 minutes, and then your chance to win coming up. First, though, we start by giving ultimate credit to Mr. Woods over there. You saw this coming from a mile away. Our DDT story about the brawl on Bourbon Street, or at least the altercation between former Major League pitchers John Rocker and Pat Mahomes Sr.
Real quick, let's just go through the Wayback Machine about 24 hours ago.
Yeah. So they're in the street jawing at each other. And I watched the video and I watched it again. You can't really hear what they say in said video, but they're jawing at each other. And again, Rocker just walks out of like a bar and they happen to run into each other on the street. So I tweeted this. I said, Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker soft launching an undercard on Jake Paul's next special. Book it. It looks completely staged, and Rocker is maybe the worst actor of all time. Potentially maybe the worst. Hey, what? What'd you say? He's lumbering around. And I go, these dudes are going to do a celebrity boxing match at some point.
The only thing you got wrong was Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
It wasn't Jake Paul. It was Dave Portnoy of Barstool.
Jake Paul Light.
Who announced yesterday that Pat Mahomes and John Rocker will be squaring off and have signed contracts to fight at Rough and Rowdy, which is their amateur boxing deal with Barstool. They're going to headline the April 18th card in the tourist mecca of Wheeling, West Virginia. Build the beef on Bourbon Street. Hot beef on Bourbon Street, except it's in West Virginia. According to
Bourbon Street.
Portnoy says, I guess they bleeping hated each other since their playing days, baseball. I mean, I guess not surprising. Everyone has beef with John Rocker, but they signed the bleeping paperwork. Beef! He said, because there's real bad blood. And then he finishes by saying about the thought that Woods brought up that this was a staged incident on Bourbon Street. He said, it's honestly insane to insinuate that we would stage a fight on Bourbon Street to promote a fight that was announced a couple of days later. So you are honestly insane, apparently, Woods, for your entirely accurate prediction.
John Rocker's acting in it was he lumbered, hey, what'd you say? What'd you say? Points his finger. I'm like, whoa, settle down, Brian Bosworth. I mean, Brian Bosworth was way better in Stone Cold than John Rocker was on the streets of New Orleans. It was terrible.
Jay to the J on the chat says everybody in Patrick Mahomes' inner circle continuing to embarrass him.
Guy if anyone needs to go do the I'm going to live in a cave ayahuasca scene, it's him in the offseason. The minute the Super Bowl's over, he should be like, I'm out.
I mean,
I'm out.
he had a horrible game.
Yeah,
the whole team
game.
just pretty much got bodied.
People talking about his legacy. Oh, his legacy's over. Yeah. I mean, literally, it's so dumb.
And 24 hours later, this comes along, and his dad's fighting in some barstool fight.
Yeah,
just like,
super cool.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Just had the worst game of my life.
Oh, it's so bad.
Can you give me 1 week? 1 week before you're making TMZ headlines?
It's so bad.
God,
I don't understand. Patrick Mahomes is rich. He's rich as hell. I'll be like, I'll give you $5 million to just go sit in a cabin. Don't drive. Don't you drink all you want. Don't drive. Just stay out of the
publicity.
news. I will stroke you a check for $5
but
million.
If you ever appear on TMZ,
you gotta give it back.
You lose it all.
I swear to God.
All you have to do
how much, Dad? How much?
Stay off TMZ, and you get all this money.
Go fish. Go hunt. Go do whatever you want to do. I am so rich. I will pay you to stop embarrassing me.
Put him and Jackson on
an island somewhere.
Deserted island somewhere.
Have a ball. Do whatever you guys want. I'm begging you. I just want to focus on football. Oh man, this is.
I feel for that guy.
I do too. I really do feel for him. I really do. There's nothing about Patrick Mahomes I don't like. And I just feel terrible for him. This was a pretty gnarly story that came out. Former Chiefs wide receiver. I believe he's with the Browns last season. Kadarius Toney Was arrested last week over allegations that he strangled a woman. He was accused of putting his hands around a woman's throat during a dispute at a Georgia residence. He squeezed with enough force to cause her to be unable to, it says breath, but I think they mean breathe. It's a difference in
It's an
that.
E at the end.
There is. They said the alleged attack left the woman with red marks on her neck and hemorrhaging in her eyes. So I'd say that's not great for Kadarius Toney. So he was arrested and charged. They set his bond at $25,000 on each count. So he was behind bars. He is out on bond and staring down the barrel of some trouble this offseason.
All right, finally, a little do this.
DD mega doo-doo.
And I saw this posted yesterday. It is a story from a Kentucky basketball fan. And I'll just read it here from his online post. It says, I need to give some much-deserved recognition to Lamont Butler of our Kentucky Wildcats, former Aztec. How genuinely awesome is this guy, not just as a basketball player, but a human being. I took my 4-year-old Boone to his first Kentucky basketball game on New Year's Eve against Brown. He was obsessed with watching Kentucky, and in particular, number 1, Butler. When he saw the white Kentucky number 1 jersey that was way too big for him at $100, he had to have it, would not return to our seats without it. Having a child with epidermolysis bullosa, a terrible skin condition causing painful blisters and tears of the skin outside and inside his body, sometimes you just have to cave when you see something in someone that brings him so much joy, despite the challenges he faces daily. So we bought it. He wears it every day, commentates for himself as he pretends to be Lamont Butler in our living room on the mini hoop. I took a picture of him wearing it, and wearing the smile he often has pretending to be Butler. I sent the message to Lamont on Instagram. He immediately messaged me back, offered to meet us after the next Kentucky game we attended so he could sign the jersey for Boone. I bought 2 tickets to watch Kentucky defeat Texas A&M. After the game, Lamont came right back out, walked straight up to my son, talked to him while signing his jersey and a ball I bought for him because, let's face it, he's never taking that jersey off now, and I wanted to have something to remember this forever. Took 10 minutes to make my child feel like the most important kid in the world. They say never meet your heroes, where I'm glad my son did. Thank you, Lamont, for your kindness, and we will always be fans of Lamont Butler. Cool.
That's how it's done, son.
And that's do this and don't do this for a Thursday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, we wish he was still in San Diego State as an Aztec. Obviously.
I mean, imagine him on
He's
the squad.
he's had a really solid season. A couple injuries he's dealt with, but he has made that team a lot better this year for Kentucky.
Yeah, he's a good player, man.
All right,
really good player.
before you do anything, let's give away these spring training tickets. We have a 4-pack of tickets to join us. Sammy, we're going to be out there in a couple of weeks to a game of your choosing at the Peoria Sports Complex. Be the 4th caller right now at 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Not only can you win the 4 tickets, you will also qualify for the grand prize, 4 tickets to a Padres Guardians game at Petco Park on April the 2nd. If you're going out to Arizona, get your spring training tickets now at PeoriaBaseball.com.
All right, friends, what could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto, the leader in quickly converting your home's equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. Virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisal. The average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. You can use it. One client got $150,000 out, paid up all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. Act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 619-207-4336. Get the money you need for anything. 619-207-4336 or LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I see some people in our YouTube chat who are on hold hoping Paulie's going to pick up the phone and tell them they've won the spring training tickets, but Nathan already won them, so you can...
Padres Nate, what's up, buddy?
You can hang up now. However, if you're looking for a win, we still have our biggest fan contest coming up. Another name for you at 9 o'clock. If you have not registered yet, what are you waiting for? Just go to 97.3thefan, sd.com/biggestfan, and put your name in. 3 names every weekday at 9, 1, and 5:30. And at the end of the contest, the grand prize winner will win a night in the Odyssey Suite at Petco Park, 20 tickets to a Padres game for you and our friends to enjoy later on this season. So I heard some of the comments, and I assume we have some of the sound as well from Mike Schilt. We don't need to play it all right now, but he talked also about the catching competition yesterday, Woods, at spring training, and, said, hey, it should be a good competition, mentioned Elias Diaz, that, brought him back, obviously, with the idea that he's going to be playing. But
yeah, and not on a, it's not a huge contract, but it's also not nothing.
Right. And he also mentioned, Luis Campusano, who, remember, struggled in the second half of last season to the point that he got sent down to AAA, was not on the postseason roster for the San Diego Padres, and was the subject of a lot of, trade speculation, like, all right, is it time to move on from Luis Campusano? But that doesn't seem like what the plan is for the San Diego Padres. And Mike Schilt gave an interesting rationale as to why he thought that Luis Campusano was still potentially, a catcher, a starting everyday catcher for the San Diego Padres. He said that, well, just look at the team's record when Luis Campusano was behind the plate. And so looked it up, and hat tip to our friend Darnay, he had the stat as well. He said Padres record in games Campusano started last year, 45-29. Record in games Kyle Higashioka started, 42-35.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you? Kyle Higashioka clearly had a much better season offensively. Neither of them were great defensively, but, Campy was borderline disaster at
I believe
points.
he was the worst qualified catcher in the big leagues, if I'm not mistaken.
He did catch a no-hitter, but the Padres had the best record with him behind the plate as catcher. And Mike Schilt actually said, to me, that's a really important thing for a catcher. Are we winning when he is in the game? Do you agree with Mike Schilt that that's an important stat for a catcher? Team's winning percentage while you are behind the plate.
What is the answer to this question?
I don't know.
Does anyone know? Look, okay, so who has more managerial experience and knows more about baseball than Mike Schilt? Nobody in this room, and probably nobody listening. So, is it one of those things, if he says it, it's got to be true, or is that just a nice way of saying, hey, man, after looking at the numbers, we actually win more ball games when he's in the lineup? But when I think
that was almost a 100-win pace.
Right.
45-29 is right around a 100-win pace when Campy was their catcher. That's elite. It's elite. But I don't know whether he had much to do with it.
That's
Were they
the
winning
thing,
in
is
spite of him or
if you
because of
told me
him?
that was our record when Tyler Wade made an appearance, I go, makes sense. He's always in the mix doing something weird or laying out a bunt or doing something scrappy. I can't think of a Luis Campusano highlight last year. I can't. I rack my brain. I can't think of one time where I was like, hell yeah, game changer. Again, if Mike Schilt says it, it's got to be true. So yeah.
I see that argument in the chat. Mike Schilt wins 90 games every season. Defer to him on, what he believes is important for a baseball player, especially a catcher.
I guess whatever you got to tell yourself.
At the same time, you have to take things that Mike Schilt says with a grain of salt. And I'm not...
Save that clip.
I'm not... Please don't. Please don't play it.
Put that on YouTube.
I'm glad he's out of town, and there's very little chance, unless he's listening to the Odyssey app
I heard
right
you,
now.
boy. You are a dead dog.
And this
You might think I'm nuts.
Ben does. He actually
Not
said
me.
it.
This
Not me.
isn't intended as an insult. We all know
He's positive.
that Mike Schilt is going to gloss over the bad
And highlight the
and
good.
really dig deep to find the good.
Yeah.
And sometimes he has to dig really deep. And I feel like with this stat in particular about Luis Campusano, couldn't point to his average, couldn't point to his power, couldn't point to his arm, his blocking skills, his framing skills. But you could point to the teams here. What
the record?
It's like I feel like he's got a team. Someone in the Padres organization is working behind the scenes, going, Mike goes to him, I need something good to say about Luis Campusano. Come up with something. And the team goes into a room, they pour over the numbers, and they go, here's what we got for you, Mike. Padres were 45-29 in games he started. He didn't really have anything to do with that, but it's right there. You can use that. Here's what Mike
Schulte walks in. It's like the writer's room at Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. All right. Here's what we came up with.
Give me some material.
Right,
I need some material.
Puts it on a note card.
Yeah.
Here's
what Schulte had to say yesterday.
Well, I mean, listen, we've got good catching competition, and that's healthy. We got competition in this camp, which I love. He's mentioned the starting rotation. There's competition there. There's competition with the catchers. I mean, clearly we, have signed Diaz to play, and rightfully so. All-Star 2 years ago, All-Star MVP, came up last year, helped us, contributed. So, clearly, he's going to be a part of the mix. But, you look at Campy, and Campy was, similar to Matt Waldron. You look at the numbers with Campy on, you can evaluate catchers a lot of different ways, clearly. But, one of the ways that we evaluate a lot of what we do is if we win or not. And if you look at Campy's record his one-loss record, it's pretty darn good. And there's a lot of factors to that, clearly. But point being is Campy had a good year for us. And at the end of the year, we get Diaz in. And, but we look back at the body of work, and it was productive for Campy. So we expect him to, like I mentioned in FanFest, had a good offseason, went to winter ball, Dominican, and played. And it's in a good spot to come in and compete for playing time like he got last year. And then you're talking about, Brett Sullivan came up, helped us out. He's been a guy in the organization up and down for the last couple of years that has done a nice job for us. Again, went to winter ball and work on his game. So Sully's guy that's in that mix. And we just signed a guy that's won 2 World Series with Maldonado that's really hungry still after 13 years at this level. So it's going to be a really healthy competition, and we're excited about it.
So was it malpractice then, leaving Campy off the postseason roster? If he's such an elite vibe,
I mean, he said Campy had a good season for us. There's almost no rationale to make that comment. That's like Mike Schulte, who, if you were watching on our YouTube stream, wearing his spring training hat, going, "Yeah, my hat is blue." And I go, "I see it. It's yellow."
It's yellow.
No, it's blue. It's blue. I'm a baseball manager. I've been wearing hats my entire
Get the
life.
eyes checked, cuz.
This hat is blue. I go,
better clean them glasses, boy.
It's yellow, and you're trying to tell me it's blue.
Hey, Four Eyes, come over here. Let me see them
Second
specs.
guess me one more time. You're going to need a new prescription.
Every piece of evidence that I know tells me that Luis Campusano did not have a good season at all, including the fact that you sent him down to AAA at the end of the year.
Correct.
And had to find someone else to replace him on the roster. Yet, here we are, and we found the fact that they were 45-29 when he started games.
Yeah, look, I don't know what I expected, if I expected anything differently. If it were me, the manager, and they asked me the same question, I don't know that I would have answered it the same, but I've never managed a big league team. I think I would. It probably would have sounded something more like, he's got a lot to prove. Right? He's still going to
come out
prove
there and
himself.
just crap all over him either.
Exactly.
No, and I'm not expecting Mike Schulte to.
He was, I believe, guys, he was the lowest rated defensive catcher in baseball
I
last
don't
year.
even know why he's here.
We got some improvement there that we can work on. Nowhere to go but up for that. But there would be something to the effect of like, no, he's going to have to earn it. And he did say that. He's going to be in here to earn playing time. But no, it is pretty funny. Like if he won more games than he should have been on the roster. Like if he won more games, who was our backup? It was Diaz in the postseason. Yeah. So it but again, it's spring training speak, right? It's manager speak, it's spring training speak, and it's especially Schulte speak. Look, people got mad at us last year because I would try to get him to say anything negative, anything. I would beg him. AC tried to get him to say anything negative. Dennis Lynn did. AJ Cassavell. Say one thing about that drubbing that you took tonight. He's like, hey, you see that slider in the third? Pretty damn good. You can build off that. You're like, you can't do it.
And you know
can't
what?
Crack him.
Now that we have a year of experience, it's okay.
Right.
Like last year, I think we were just trying to
I was
wrap our
zoned
brains
out.
around
It
this.
took me
we
like
didn't
3 or
understand.
4 months. Like by like July, I was like, "This is who he is.
This is what he is.
But now
it's not going to change." But it was driving me
Now
nuts.
we understand it, and there just has to be a bit of a translation from Schilties to English here.
Schiltyisms.
And what he was saying about Luis Campusano is obviously what you were saying. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot to prove. But if we put him behind the plate, we already know that we can
win
win
ball
games
game.
because we won ball games last year.
John, and so he had a good start to last season. He did, man. But I remember, I brought this up before, John. We had our next guest, Eno Saris, on at 8:35. Eno talked to Luis Campusano at some point last year, at the beginning of the year, when Campy got off to this quote unquote hot start, where he's getting some knocks, but he was really, guys, he was hitting the ball at like 60 miles an hour. And so
He's
Eno's
the king of the BABIP.
It was like the
bloop,
king of
bloop,
BABIP.
bloop.
Yep. And so Eno went up to him and said, Luis, I noticed that you've made some changes in your swing. Remember like everybody tinkers a little bit, I think. This was so far off like what he'd done before. The hands in front of the face and all that. And he said, hey, you're not hitting it as hard as you were last year and what you're capable of. He goes, I don't care. I'm getting hits. And I think that's a baseball player's mentality of like, bro, I don't care how I get the job done. As long as I get on base and score runs, I don't care. I don't care if I left 4 pitches over the middle of the plate. They missed all of them. That's kind of how baseball players think. You just want results. But the results, once they stopped coming, it was because you were getting pretty lucky at the beginning of the year.
The foundation wasn't there for the results.
Conversely, I remember a few years ago when the Franmil Reyes hit 40 of 45 balls, like 110 miles an hour or higher, got like 1 hit. So that's one of those things you look at and you go, oh, this guy sucks, dude.
I forgot about that.
He's batting 100, and it's like he's hitting the cover off the ball. Good things will happen. They actually didn't that year. They'd never really translated because he stopped hitting the ball that hard. It never fell for him.
And when you look at some of that, you can kind of identify which players you expect to do better. And I think one of the great things for the Padres is one of the unluckier players last year for the Padres was Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
His numbers behind the numbers were so good in terms of line drives and hitting the ball well. He wasn't particularly lucky last season.
Yeah.
He deserved everything he got.
And then
which is why you're kind of encouraged. Another thing I was encouraged about yesterday. Now it's early and there's a lot of time, but I will tell you what was encouraging for the first day of spring training next after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Guys, there were a lot more accidents earlier. Looks like folks took our advice and just got an early start on the roads. We're still dealing with a few problems here, though. Southbound 5 at the East 54 connector ramp, that's been out. Also, northbound 15 included that accident involving a semi near the 8. Up ahead, before Claremont Mesa Boulevard, tow truck is on scene of this collision. Looks like that may be blocking the fast lane. In the North County, northbound 15 before Old Highway 395, vehicle spun out in the center divide, now facing the wrong way. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, Woods, I always hold my breath a little bit on the first day of spring training because until then, teams can always hide bad news. But once spring training starts and, reporters are out there and you got your beat guys and you go, where's so-and-so? Why isn't he out throwing? Why isn't he out working out? Can't hide it anymore. And we saw that yesterday with other teams. Alex Cobb, who signed with the Tigers in the offseason. He's got a hip thing. He could be out, through opening day. Anthony Rendon, no shocker, but he, shows up to Angel spring training and, he's going to need hip surgery. He's probably out long-term, maybe the rest of the season. And you always wonder, what haven't they told us? And yesterday when Mike Schilt talked about his players, there was no unexpected bad news. Everybody who we expected to be out there was out there, and he actually said some unprompted, really positive things. Like he said, Yu Darvish, who dealt with a number of injuries last year, said feels really good, had a really good offseason, feels like he's in good shape going into this year. It was one guy that I was worried about because, remember, he had 2 stints on the injured list last year, plus, the month, plus that he missed for personal reasons. And I'm going, Yu's in his late 30s at this point. I'm worried because they have, 24 hours ago, they didn't have any pitching depth. Now they've got more. And we had good reports on where the pitchers that they do have are coming into camp. Stephen Kolek ended the year on the injured list. Is he okay? Mike Schultz had, full clean bill of health. No restrictions, no limitations. Johnny Brito was hurt at the end of last year. How's he looking? Ready to go to start the season. The news was a relief, at least. It, not that it can't change, and there will be injuries. Obviously, there will be injuries, but there was nothing unexpected or any bad news drops from the Padres on that first day of spring training.
No, and you're right. There were a lot from a lot of camps in baseball. Obviously, notably the Angels. Benny, I just I was driving around yesterday thinking about Anthony Rendon, and is there a small part of me that feels bad for him?
Yeah,
I do. Nobody wants to be that guy.
If anybody wants to be that guy, it might be Anthony Rendon.
I think he said, no, I'm actually that guy. I'm actually that guy.
What was his quote? His quote was,
the baseball season's too damn long.
It's long. It's not that
it wasn't
important to me.
necessarily his biggest priority. And he's been dragged over the coals for it. And I get it. When you're making that much money and you've been constantly unavailable, you're going to rankle a fan base badly. I do get that. And that was his fault. No one made him say that.
Correct.
He stepped in and on his own. At the same time, he could have had the 100% best attitude in the world. I don't know if that gets him on the field one extra day. His body has broken down.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, I guess he had a setback a few weeks ago in recovery from another surgery, and now he's going to need another surgery. But if you want to, you can go to the Anthony Rendon, thetracker.com, and you can, in real time. Since I've been on this site for about 30 seconds, he's made $42, $44, $45, $46, $48, $47.70.
The part that would drive me insane as an Angels fan, and it kind of drives me insane as just a baseball fan, is, I don't know, given everything he said and the lack of production you've gotten and his massive, what was it, 7-year, $240 million contract or something like that, do you get the sense that he's trying as hard as he can to get back onto the field? I don't know that I would have that sense as an Angels fan.
I just think at this point...
Whereas, like, when Manny Machado almost broke his ankle, he's like, I can't fly, so I'm getting in a car. I'm going to drive to Dodger Stadium. I'll meet you guys there. Like, whatever it takes, I'm not getting off of this field.
Yeah, it's a different mentality, certainly, and
just because he's not necessarily a gamer doesn't make him a bad person, though. Would you tell anybody that they're a bad person because they prioritized other things in life over their job?
No.
Not really. No. In fact, sometimes it's the sign of being a good person, which is weird.
It's
but
just,
in baseball, you're a horrible person.
But you feel
baseball isn't his most favorite, best thing in the world.
You feel terrible. But again, you don't have to say it.
You don't. He
You
stepped
can
in that
think
one
it
himself.
all you want.
He did.
He's made $82 million in games he did not play.
Good God.
$82 million is a...
And none of you out there would give it back if you were in his shoes.
Correct.
None of you.
I might.
Nor would you have to. Would you?
Yeah. I feel bad.
All right, we'll come back. 8 o'clock hour includes Eno Saris. Looking forward to that conversation. Get his thoughts on the Nick Pivetta signing. Take on Woods. Actually, real or fake on a Thursday. Throwback Thursday. All coming up here on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Thursday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you. I think we are now currently rated on Yelp somewhere around 4.2. Is that right?
Nice.
Came up yesterday.
We're a swanky establishment at this point.
Thank
we went
you, guys.
From 2 stars.
We did.
Subway at the airport.
Yeah, Subway at
to
the
now like 4.2 stars.
2 stars, 9 reviews, and now we are at 4.3 with 46 reviews.
Thank you guys so much for
Like
going in.
Ruth's Chris now. I mean, this is awesome.
Ben's Woods. Ruth's Chris, we're Ben's Woods. That's right. You guys rule. You guys rule. And I can't thank you enough. And, you make this job a lot of fun. And days like today make it a lot of fun as well. Got some breaking Padres news for you as well. But I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Rhino. That's Ben Higgins. Ben, lay it out for me. Just added another arm to the stable.
Yep, the Padres just now announced the signing of left-handed pitcher Kyle Hart to a 1-year contract with a club option for 2026. Kyle Hart, former draft pick of the Boston Red Sox in the 19th round of the 2016 Major League Baseball draft. Eventually got to the big leagues just for a cup of coffee during the pandemic season in 2020, where he posted a 15.55 ERA. For the Red Sox, bounced around the minor leagues with the Phillies and the Mariners organizations the last couple of years. And then last year, in 2024, signed with the NC Dinos of the KBO. Went over to Korea, where he absolutely killed it. He had a 13-3 record, 2.69 ERA, and set the single-season KBO strikeout record with 182 strikeouts on his way to winning the Choi Dong-won Award.
The what?
Which is the Korean equivalent of the Cy Young Award last year, the Choi Dong-won Award.
He's a Choi Dong-won winner.
He is a Choi Dong-won winner.
Someday at Fantasy Camp, you can do a panel with all of the Choi Dong-won winners, like
That's
you
true.
did with the Cy Young
I
winners.
can.
Yeah.
And now they have a
They have
Choi
one.
Dong-won winner on the roster. Now, does that translate to Major League Baseball?
We'll see.
No idea. And they always say the KBO is kind of the equivalent of Double-A. So he had
Monster double.
He had a monster Double-A season. Now, guys who have monster Double-A seasons sometimes come up and
pretty good big leaguers.
are pretty good big leaguers.
Yep.
But 13-3, 269, and 182 strikeouts is not nothing. And, being the best pitcher in Korea, if I'm going to trust any scout to decide whether it's real or not, I'm sure A.J. Preller was probably over there at some point, getting eyes on Kyle Hart, and they don't have any other lefties in the starting rotation. This is a starter who could be a lefty option in your starting rotation. So now, starting rotation of Yu Darvish, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Nick Pivetta, and then the 5th spot, you've got plenty of competition with Kyle Hart, Matt Waldron, Randy Vasquez, Stephen Kolek, Johnny Brito. 24 hours ago, the Padres were incredibly thin at starting pitching. Now, if you had to start the season with what they have and the options that they have, you feel like, okay, you know what? They've addressed some of their starting pitching needs in a pretty good fashion.
Howard is 6'5", 200 pounds.
You have to be 6'5" to pitch for the Padres.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
they have
our
a
pitching
sign
staff-
as you enter the clubhouse. You must be this tall
It's the stick.
to pitch for the San Diego Padres.
It's great.
So Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta,
Sean
Kyle
Reynolds.
Hart. I know Jake Peavy. I have no idea how he ever got into the Padres organization.
What did we pay for the Choi Dong-won?
They did not
winner?
announce the financial terms of the deal. I will trust.
So 1
that-
year, it's a
1 year and a club option.
And a club option. Oh, a club option. That's nice.
I'm sure Kyle Hart was eager to get back to the big leagues after spending a year in Korea and proving himself overseas.
Similar career path to potentially to Nick Martinez,
Yes,
right?
Nick
Came
Martinez,
over here.
yep.
He was here, kind of struggled, went
Went to Japan.
overseas,
Yep.
got it locked in, figured it out,
Okay.
and then came back over here and was crushing it for us.
Good. All right. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Ruben Niebla, here you go.
Yeah, he's like, oh, boy, all right. Slinging projects at me. But, yeah, we'll see. I don't know anything about him. Don't know what his pitch mix is. Don't know how hard he throws. Somebody in the chat said he's a soft tosser, 90, 91, maybe a crafty lefty. I have no idea. Never heard of him until just now.
I now know that Michael King is the shortest member of the starting rotation. He's not a short guy.
So we're full. 40-man roster officially full now.
Okay.
Is that right? That's what somebody's in Brandon
I know
Johnson.
they were getting close. So, yeah, if he's on the 40, which it looks like he is.
Cool.
They're
John
now
Seidler
filled up.
era is underway.
Yeah, we are. We're cooking now. Somebody said on Twitter, A.J. Preller really promised us 2 bats and 2 arms. He got all of them for about $4 million.
Like within a week and a half.
Within a week. So that's great. That's great. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have no idea. No idea about this guy. Never heard of this guy. I'm not going to tell you I know anything about Kyle Hart. It's funny, like the Padres tweeted it, like the full picture and everything, and still waiting for the Nick Pivetta deal to be made official. But yeah, if that's the case,
yeah,
good.
you don't want a situation like the Lakers with Mark Williams,
Exactly.
where doctors go, because he did have some elbow issues early last year, but then he came back and pitched in pretty much a full season for the Red Sox again. He's been fairly durable.
Mm-hmm.
One of the perks of Nick Pivetta is he's posted
Good.
as a starter the last
you
4
need it.
years for the Red Sox. So that's more than. It hasn't been dominant, but he's been out there, which is a value that you pay for in Major League Baseball nowadays.
Yeah, our boy Tommy tweeted, King, Cease, you, Pivetta, top 4, then let the war for the 5th spot begin. Vasquez, Waldron, Kolek, Hart, Brito, Omar Cruz, and what's this guy's name? Nick? Hart? Is it Hart?
Kyle Hart?
Kyle Hart.
You already mentioned him.
Yeah,
Yes.
no. I was just saying.
Yeah.
That's his last name? It's
Yes.
Kyle Hart.
Kyle Hart.
H-A-R-T.
H-A-R-T.
This is great, dude. Look at this quote. Kyle Hart. There have been times where I'm embarrassed to even tell people I was in the big leagues because they're going to Google me and be like, this dip S had an effing 16 ERA. I'd love to get a sample size of a couple hundred innings and see what we're looking at. If I have an ERA of 15 again, I'll go dig a hole and you'll never hear from me again. But deep down, I believe I'm a competitive middle-of-the-rotation guy. It's hard to explain that to people when you have 4 terrible outings. Welcome to the Padres, Kyle. I like you already. That is phenomenal.
Walked just 38 batters in 631 batters faced last year, a 6% walk rate, 28.8% strikeout rate last year in Korea.
I'll go dig a hole and you'll never hear from me again. It's amazing.
It's another guy we want to talk to.
Paulie,
when we
put
go
him
to
on the
spring
list.
training.
Put him on the list. Can't wait. Great. Good for that. I like that.
I mean, you wanted some activity, Padres fans. You got it.
All right, how do we feel now?
This
How does
dip S
everybody feel?
This dip S had an effing 16 ERA. Is all time. That's an all time. It's great. Good for him. Welcome to the team, buddy.
Like you cannot sit and look at what the team up north is doing and try to go punch for punch with them.
No,
you
you never
do
were.
it.
You couldn't.
Everybody in this room, everybody listening, we were all frustrated over the offseason. I'm not saying these guys are the saviors. I'm not saying we're World Series favorites, but does everybody at least feel better?
I feel better.
Yeah,
I was already starting to feel a little bit better when I saw the sights and sounds yesterday, certainly. But yeah, man, I'm in. You knew that. You knew you were going to get me in. I'm not hard. That sounded weird.
Whoa.
I'm not hard to convince.
Too much information.
That's way too much.
Yeah, I mean, but how do the fans who've been really upset this offseason
They're
now
madder.
feel?
They're madder now.
Matter now?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because it's not these massive things. They're madder now. But they're always going to be mad. That's that faction that's always going to be upset. Always.
I heard an amazing. Now you can be upset again. I'm not denying you the right to be upset, and you can kind of make numbers say anything. But I heard an amazing stat. I was listening to the Gwynn and Chris program yesterday. It was Chris and Scraby, and they had Scott Miller on. Mm-hmm. Scott Miller brought up a stat, and I think he got it from Ken Rosenthal. But he said, "You'd be surprised what 3 teams have had the highest percentage payroll increases in baseball this offseason." There you go. Dodgers, Mets, no. Obviously, they already had really high payroll, so their percentage increase actually isn't as high. It was the Baltimore Orioles were number 1, and I'm trying to remember who was number 2, but the Padres were like the 3rd highest percentage payroll increase in baseball this offseason.
Because of the raises.
But it was just because of the raises.
Yeah, that's not going to make anybody feel better.
Yeah. But again, you can't totally dismiss it. If you're totally dismissing that as a fan, then I think you're being unfair. Because, having the 3rd highest payroll increase in baseball.
Okay, but if you're going to use that as, see, the Padres are spending
I'm
money.
not-
I'm going to call
This
that
is his
unfair.
new run differential, I fear.
I'm not.
I'm going to kick you
But
in your face.
is it fair to completely ignore that fact?
Yeah, I think it is.
That they,
I think it's fair.
I
do.
It's not that they haven't cut money. They haven't stayed. They've actually had one of the highest increases in baseball in payroll this offseason.
Ben, we get a raise at the beginning of the year. Same show. Our number, we get a raise when the clock strikes January 1st. It's the same show. Nothing changes. I'm not like, ooh, got my raise. Now I'm going to buckle down. No, it's the same show. Nothing changes. So no, I don't look at that as like guys, they had contracts that were escalating. They escalated. And it's great to be, in the top 10, top 5 payroll. Yeah, I think, but it's some of the contracts that are escalating aren't great contracts, and so it makes it tougher to stomach because they're not the best contracts. We haven't gotten the best value out of those. So that to me actually makes it worse when you say that.
Well, you can criticize the way that they have structured their contracts and how they've put it together. That's an absolute fair criticism that the Padres didn't plan very well. To know that they could not do anything because they have tied their hands by by building in so many increases that they really can't do anything else. That is real life intruding on your baseball team.
Well, so Steve says here, Ben is a shill. The Padres fans aren't dumb. He's not a shill. I'm telling you. I know this man. He's logical.
I'm very logical.
Logic in his brain is different.
I mean, that's just a fact.
That's what he says. You would have been such a great attorney. You really you're a really good sports radio guy.
That's what I was going to go into.
Why didn't
I not gone into? It's weird. I was really planning on going back to law school. I wanted to give radio a try, and it wasn't going great after like a year and a half, and I was getting set for law school, and then I got the opportunity to host the Padres pre- and post-game show. I go, well, I can
take it.
I can postpone law school for that, and from one that led to Channel 10, which then led to other things, which has now led to this, and here I am. Not going to law school now.
So I don't see it that way, Stephen. I don't, and I know him. That's not who he is. It's the logical. He has the most logical human I know, and when he looks at something on paper and said, that is a fact. It's hard for him to attach any sort of emotion at all to a fact. He won't do it.
I'm not attaching any emotion to it. The fact is that the Padres made the decision a few years ago that they were going to backload contracts in order to build a title contender. They are now paying the price for that.
Correct. That salary is going up. They are spending more money.
Well, speaking of contracts, and I know we're about to go to a break here, Robert Murray has given some information on the Kyle Hart contract. It's a $1 million contract in 2025, $5 million club option for 2026 with a $500,000 buyout.
Zero risk.
2026 salary can reach $7.5 million based on escalators for games started.
Literally zero risk.
All right, so Kyle's kind of betting on himself. If he has a decent year, he gets a big raise.
Yep.
If he doesn't, Padres can say,
"See ya.
So long. It was nice to meet you this year. Thanks for showing up." But this is according to Fangraphs now. The Padres now have a real payroll of around $208 million or something. I don't see it going much higher than that. I think they are really about as high as they can go.
You think do you see it going lower than that?
I don't know. I think this is probably. I mean, they could still trade someone. I still think Robert Suarez is
on the block.
Is likely to be traded. Yeah. They're not going to give him away.
Right.
They're going to hope a couple teams find themselves in need of a closer and can bid that up and get, whether it's prospects, whether it's someone who can be a DH, whether it's another starting pitching option. I would not be surprised. That's just kind of a smart baseball move. Instead of paying $10 million for a closer who's probably going to opt out at the end of the year, turn that into controllable assets that maybe you can then trade at the deadline for someone else. And that would create some salary flexibility as well to perhaps add an important piece in July. So maybe it goes down at some point before the season and then goes back up if they're playing well at the trade deadline. AJ will need some flexibility at some point to the season. So I do think that Robert Suarez is still likely to be traded at some point.
Yeah, I do too.
But, it could be tomorrow. It could be March 20th.
Could be 3 months, yeah.
It could be April 30th. You just don't know when the deal is probably going to come together.
Love it.
I don't think Michael King. I'm almost certain Michael King's not going anywhere. And at this point, I'd be pretty surprised if Dylan Cease is traded as well.
Yep.
They're putting together a team for this year. That's why they're making these moves.
That's all I wanted.
They're putting together a team.
Kind of with you.
That
And then
is
we can
all
and then
I
we can
wanted.
run this back next season. It's going to be great. Can't wait.
Next season, you're going to have the same
problem.
the Piper problem, though.
100%.
Because next season, well, you have more salary increases for guys like Manny.
We're gonna do it all
and
over
Fernando
again.
Tatis Jr.
Yep.
And guess what? Nick Pivetta cost $19 million next year
Correct.
instead of $4 this year.
Hosmer off the books next year.
You get Hosmer. Cease is probably going to go one way or another
Yep.
at the end of the season. Yeah, I'd love to see them re-sign King, but that's going to cost a lot of money. So you'll have already spent next year's money, and we'll go through this the next offseason. Why aren't the Padres making any moves? Well, because when you look in the actual payroll, they've gone up again based on the...
He's going to be doing this for years.
We're going to do this again. I promise
For
you.
a decade,
We're
actually.
going to be doing this again next offseason. Where are all the moves? Well, they kind of already made them by the contracts that they signed to other players.
Yep.
AJ is great at pushing the pain off as far as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if his credit card, he's just rolling how you can borrow from one and
To
then
pay the other.
I get a
Consolidate.
0% balance transfer
Yeah,
on
for a
this
year.
one and then
Yeah.
transfer it back to the other one. This is how AJ is running this baseball team
Genius.
right now.
It's genius. Yeah.
All right, if I put this on my Visa and then I use my MasterCard to pay off my Visa and then I get that down to 0, I can then use my American
I've got
Express
this Amex
pay
card just sitting here.
MasterCard. This is how he is running this baseball team.
That's how we run our country, dude. What are we talking about? That's exactly how we run our country. Let's worry about it later. I want it now, and let's worry about it later.
And
That's
he
it.
either is going to win a World Series and be a legend forever, or it'll be a total mess. He'll get fired, and it'll be someone else's problem.
Yeah, 100%.
He can't really lose.
That's
either
exactly
way.
right.
So it's one or the other for AJ Preller.
Slam Diego Mayor. That's exactly what I do with credit cards. No wonder I've always been an AJ Preller stan. There you go. Yeah.
All right, we can take a timeout now. We'll come back. We'll play Take on Woods. If you want to be our contestant, get online
Real
now.
or fake?
Real or fake?
That's right. It's Thursday. Real or fake? I've got it all set up. It's in there. 833-288-0973. Qualifying for the trip to Las Vegas. When we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we've got Eno Saris coming up at the bottom of the hour. We can talk about Nick Pivetta, maybe even Kyle Hart as well. 2 new Padres pitching acquisitions in the last 24 hours, really 14 hours or so. So in order to do that, let's get right to our game of real or fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. You can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
All right, we're trying to qualify another Tier 1 for the Motley Crue tickets in Las Vegas. 2-night stay at the Park MGM and tickets to the Motley Crue residency at Dolby Live, March 28th through April 19th. You can get your own tickets at Ticketmaster.com. We got Peter. Peter or Pete, what'd you like?
Pete.
Pete is our contestant today on Real or Fake. If you can get 4 out of 7 right, and you can get Woods' help here, and he might be good on this one, you can qualify for our grand prize drawing. All right, here's what we got for you. Yesterday, Paulie told us about the newest nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But how much do you know about the acts and artists who are already enshrined? Today on Real or Fake, I will name a band or artist. You just have to tell me if they were a real inductee in the main performer category for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or a fake I've made up for today's game. Sounds really simple, especially for someone like Woods.
It's very difficult.
These are some of the older ones, though, so this could be a little tougher.
God.
All right, Pete, you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Round number 1, real or fake Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Big Joe Turner. Real or fake? Big Joe Turner.
Sounds real. What do you think, Wood?
Let's roll real.
Going with real?
Yeah, real.
He's real. Famous for his song Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Ooh. Covered many times.
Yep. All right, that's 1. Let's get 3 more and get you qualified. All right, round number 2. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Real or fake Rock and Roll Hall of Famers? Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
Sounds creepy.
That sounds like Wander Franco's favorite band.
I can't say real. I'm going fake.
He's going fake. It's real. First all-teen band, famous for Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
Oh, I love that song.
You do?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, that's 1 and 1. Let's go to round number 3. Clyde McFadder. Clyde McFadder. Real or fake, Pete?
Well, that's got to be fake, right?
I'm trying to read his face. Let's go fake.
Going fake, Pete?
Fake.
Fake. He formed the Drifters, famous for Under the Boardwalk.
Oh, beautiful song.
There's Clyde McFadder right there. All right, we're a 1 and 2 now. Let's get going. All right, here we go. Round number 4, Pete. The Midnight Embers. Real or fake? The Midnight Embers.
Sounds real. What do you think?
Oh, God, it sounds so real. My gut said fake, but if you want to roll with it.
Pete, you got to make the final call here.
Fake.
Fake? Is right? Sounds real. It's fake. No, that's a ding. He said fake. That's a ding.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry.
That's a ding.
Sorry,
That's
sorry,
all right.
sorry,
All right, we're
sorry,
2
sorry,
and 2. All right, you get 2 out of the last 3, you win. All right, let's go with Hank Ballard. Hank Ballard.
Oh, that sounds real.
I think that's real.
Would be?
I think that's real, buddy.
Yeah. Real.
Real?
Yeah,
now, this
buddy.
one's relevant. He's the guy who actually wrote the twist. Chubby Checker got famous off it and is nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hank's already in it for the twist.
That's incredible.
Yeah. All right, finally, round 6. All we need is one of the last 2. Let's try Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Oh!
Little Anthony and the Imperials. Real or fake, Pete?
That must be real, Wood.
That's got to be real.
Yeah, real.
It's real!
Yeah,
congratulations! You're qualified. Tears on My Pillow is their most
another
famous
beautiful song.
hit.
They all sound the same.
They do, don't they?
Every single one of those songs.
Imperials. Yeah. Last one for you. Jim Ellers.
Fake.
Fake. Very good, Woods.
Thank you.
All right.
Who's
Peter,
Jim Ellers?
Pete, stay on the line.
Basketball player or something?
I just made up.
You made it up.
I just Googled Jim Ellers and it came up nothing. So I thought, all right, that's fake.
Kurt
Go
said
ahead.
all Goodfellas songs. Yeah, 100%. Sound like the Goodfellas soundtrack.
Pete, Paulie will get your information during our break. We will take time out. We'll come back. Eno Saris from The Athletic. Get some insight on Nick Pivetta. Maybe some Kyle Hart talk as well. Padres making some signings here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Our Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premier sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. And then I don't know why they leave this for the last line. Plus $20,000 cash. Like you're burying the lead here. 20 grand is kind of not just a throw in at the end of the prize.
Oh, I also get 20 grand.
You also get 20 grand. $20,000 in cash is a pretty cool thing. So make sure you get entered by listening to the Odyssey app to our station for just 1 hour per day for a daily entry. The more entries, the better your chance to win in our national contest. All right, he is ready to go. It's been a while. The off-season coming to an end. Spring training is underway, and it is our pleasure to welcome back to Ben & Woods from The Athletic, our smart baseball guy. We don't have the intro for him today.
Not today.
Just going right to Eno Saris here on 97.3 The Fan. Eno, how have you been? How's the off-season been?
It's good. We're in mid-season form. No walk-up music. I get it.
It's spring training for everybody.
This is like spring training when it's not an official Eno Saris appearance, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Official Open has sponsors. We gotta figure all that out.
We gotta figure it all out.
We're not ready for that yet.
Yep.
All right. Well, we were surprised yesterday, Eno.
Yes.
I mean, taken aback, as it were, after our off season of inactivity, when the Padres were reportedly in agreement on a 4-year, $55 million contract with Nick Pivetta. Now, it's a name we had talked about a few times and mostly said probably out of the Padres' price range. They probably won't give up the compensatory draft pick because he got the qualifying offer. That's not A.J. Preller's style. So why do you think that they made this move, and what are the Padres getting in Nick Pivetta?
Yeah, this move is really interesting in particular because of the way the contract is structured. And, you know, yes, they are giving up a pick, and yes, they are moving. I think they might be past the first luxury tax apron, so there are some penalties associated with that. But they're only paying him $1 million this year. So it's not. It's $3 million for the signing bonus and $1 million for the season, and it's backloaded. And that gives me a little hope for Padres fans that everyone's saying the other thing that's about to drop is that they have to trade Dylan Cease. But if you go get basically a starting left fielder in the aggregate for a couple $1 million and Jason Hayward, and Connor Joe, and then you get basically a fourth starting pitcher for $1 million. Maybe you don't need to cut the cash. And I think it would have been really hard to trade Dylan Cease and make the team better, and so I think he may be trying to just use the last bits of the market and kind of patch together the holes, as opposed to making a big Juan Soto type trade. So I think there's a little hope in that in the way the contract was structured.
Well,
and then on top of that,
I was just going to say, money aside, tell us about Nick Pivetta, the pitcher, and what we can expect from him.
Yeah, this is a clear bargain. This is a pitcher who thought that he was worth at least $20 million a year because he turned down the qualifying offer, and I think that the reason he sat around was, our models about pitching have gotten more and more sophisticated, and somebody a while back has said, he does have great stuff, and so we just got to pick him up. These models now are really good at predicting home run rates, and instead of saying, he's giving up home runs because he's in Fenway, now we can say, no, he's giving up home runs because the excellent ride that he gets is actually a product of his arm slot, and hitters can see that arm slot, and they can hit him more than people would expect to hit that type of fastball, and we can expect high home run rates. But, sometimes you have to get out from underneath all the models and say, hey, this is a guy who struck out nearly 30% of the batters he saw. He has a high 90s fastball. He has 2 really good breaking balls. He will strike guys out. If he gives up the occasional homer, all we got to do is make sure he doesn't walk guys. They're solo jobs. And I think there's a little bit of Park effect here that could lead to one of his best seasons in San Diego. The Green Monster, as a righty, what you end up having is that left-handers go the opposite way and pepper that Green Monster, and righties end up hitting you better. And he's had a home run problem against lefties and righties, and Petco's going to help him with lefties, and it's not going to be the Green Monster for righties. So I could see him having one of his best seasons on surface, and being a really good fit for Petco, and just a great fourth starter for this team.
Now, is it possible that you know anything about Kyle Hart? We just heard about this signing about 45 minutes ago, and he won the Korean equivalent of the Cy Young Award last year, the Choi Dong-won Award, and had a terrific season in the KBO, but we also know that doesn't translate necessarily to the big leagues. Had you ever heard of Kyle Hart?
Oh, yeah, I remember him a little bit from before.
Red Sox, cup of coffee.
Yeah, Red Sox, another Red Sox, yeah.
Lefty.
I don't know exactly what he's done over there. But, and I actually kind of still like Randy Vasquez. My model says he has, 4 or 5 good pitches and just needs to, have a little better touch, maybe a little better command, maybe figure out how to kind of put the pitches together. So I still think that Randy Vasquez will pitch meaningful innings for this team, and that it's not a sure thing that Kyle Hart is a starter all year. But, there you go. This is another way that he's doing it is on the cheap, filling out the 4th and 5th spots on his roster, pushing guys like Waldron and Vasquez into depth, and making this team better, hopefully without having to trade Cease.
Talking to our pal Eno Saris from The Athletic here on Ben and Woods this morning. And, let's talk about for a second the bats. The bats in Connor Joe, Jason Hayward again. You talk about recreating Jerks and Profar in the aggregate. Yeah, that would be something. Profar had a monster season, went and got his bag. We know that. But as far as now, we got Tirso Ornelas is a name that we hit 23 homers in the minors last year. He's got the look, he's got the good face, the body, the whole thing. As Sammy Levitt just told us,
selling jeans.
I'm selling jeans right now, Fabio. But no, I mean that you're gonna need those guys to produce at some point. And I realize not everybody's gonna be a Jackson Merrill, but what were your thoughts on those really again low risk? I don't know how high the reward will be for Connor Joe and Jason Hayward, but, well, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Hayward still plays excellent defense. Connor Joe is playing some first, so he can play first or DH. And Tirso Ornelas, I think they might all make the roster. Maybe Ornelas is the starter and left, and they are platooning at DH/outfield, 4th outfield. All of these things are probably on the table. Maybe there's a little bit of a position battle for, who gets the lion's share of the playing time, but they're going to need all these guys. And there's one thing that I noticed recently is that breakouts can come from anywhere. The one thing that's kind of crazy about baseball is we spend all this time trying to predict who's going to break out. And sometimes it's like the 30-year-old former top prospect that really hasn't been that great.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he turns in like the best season of his career. So, even if Tirso Ornelas is not at the top of any top 100 prospect list, he has the tools to do it. And Hayward is an excellent defender that can still hit righties, and had an 800 OPS, I think, 2 years ago. So, and then Connor Joe is he's like an excellent eye guy. Like he's going to be a patient dude. And, there's parts of this roster that can use someone who'll just take walks, even if he doesn't punish the ball a lot.
100%.
And so they're role players, but, he didn't spend much for them, and they each could fit together. I think he's putting together a pretty good roster. And the problem here was not the top of the roster, it was the bottom. So he's going to work on the bottom.
I was going through your new Stuff Plus rankings, and I realize those are geared kind of toward fantasy, but they give us an idea of, quality of teams' pitching rotation. So now that the Padres have Nick Pivetta, combined with Darvish, Cease, and King, I think that was 4 of the top 66. I mean, does that now project to you that the Padres, other than like the Dodgers, that they project along with any of the better staffs in baseball?
Yeah, they can bang. They'll be all right. It's every year Yu Darvish is a little bit older, but last year he, because of the time off, it's possible. I've seen in his career that he's come back from, smaller inning seasons with some of his better work. And I could see him being refreshed. I don't know exactly if everything's resolved that, was kind of the underlying problem or whatever, but it wasn't an arm problem. There wasn't injury that kept him out last year. And so, he's as likely as anybody else to put up an ERA in the mid-threes and be good. I actually have him ranked a little bit higher than just my projections would say he would be. And I would move Pivetta up a little bit based on this park fit. So I would say they have 4 in the top 60 maybe. The math there is pretty good for them.
Who's left, that you look at? There's a couple names that are still pretty interesting out there. There's a couple high-dollar names. Patrick Corbin made a lot of money, but I don't know that anybody's going to pay him that anymore. They probably shouldn't. But like Jacob Junis is out there as well. He's got some pretty nasty stuff and decent underlying numbers. Not a ton of dough. There's still a couple of decent names out there. With Bregman going to the Red Sox last night, who do you look at as, all right, man, these guys are going to find a job in the next week or so?
I think we're running out of guys that are projected to be above league average, which actually might be good news for the Padres because it costs a little bit more, even per win, to get guys that are above league average.
Right.
You can get a guy who's a one-win player, it's a wins above replacement. A one-win player is not even an average player, but you can get those guys for $1 million, and a win is supposed to cost $10 million. So there's something to being able to kind of catch who falls. And Junis is an excellent example of somebody that could be a great bridge for them. If you're worried that Kyle Hart isn't going to go deep into games, Pivetta sometimes doesn't go deep into games, Junis would make that bullpen. And the bullpen is good. The bullpen is still good. But the back end of the bullpen, you put Junis in there, he can do 2-3 innings. And what's nice about him too is that if somebody just needs 10, 15 days, and you don't want to call up, you have these limited options now with the guys. You can only option them up and down, 2 or 3 times. I think it's 3 times. If you don't want to use your option on Vasquez, he's in the minors, and you just need a one start somebody to do one start, Junis can go in there and give you 3-4 innings. He can be on the roster. So he's kind of like what I call roster spackle.
Ooh,
Roster Spackle.
I like that.
We've had some good quotes from Eno. We call it Nick Pivetta is a great bargain. We heard that the Padres rotation can bang, which is good. And I'm now more excited for the season after talking to Eno Saris. Eno will work on the sponsor and the open and everything, and hopefully get you lined up for some regular appearances again this year.
We'll get it dialed in.
All right, thanks.
All right, brother.
Eno Saris from The Athletic. We also are hearing already from Kyle Hart, the newest member of the Padres. We've got that audio for you right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Still a few problems on our wet roadways, guys. 2-car collision on westbound King Freeway at Massachusetts. They are blocking the slow lane. Also in the North County, several problems. One is this collision on La Costa on-ramp to northbound 5. It's over to the right shoulder. Eastbound side of the 78 still has this accident just before Emerald. Appears to be blocking middle lanes. Accident clearing on the 78 near Bear Valley Parkway. Might still see some slowing in the area. Now, northbound side of the 15 before Old Highway 395. Vehicle facing the wrong way in the center divide. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that going on, all these spinouts. Southbound side of the 15 before Mission Road, the Fallbrook area. There is a collision blocking the 2 right lanes. Further south on the 15 past Via Rancho Parkway, we have reports of a stalled motorcycle kind of on the right shoulder of the HOV lane. So please take it extra carefully there. Move over a lane if it's safe to do so. Give them some space. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're a little too close to the top of the hour here to play the audio, so we'll get to Kyle Hart and his comments. He already has a locker. He's already in the Padres clubhouse, and Sammy has already gotten a microphone in front of his face this morning.
I love it.
We'll hear from the newest member of the San Diego Padres coming up at the top of the hour after our biggest fan contest name reveal. Stay tuned for that. But as we were talking to Eno, finally realized, who A.J. Preller is doing his impression of. He's Dr. Evil. He's paying everybody $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million.
Everyone is getting $1 million at this point.
Here's what we'll do. We'll sign a bunch of players, some you've never heard of. We'll give them $1 million. Here's what we'll do.
Jason Hayward.
100
Nick-
bajillion,
Bajillion
bajillion.
Well, that's what they did the last few seasons. They gave Manny, they gave Xander $100 bajillion, but now all they have left is $1 million for everybody.
That's right.
So that's if you can play for $1 million, you can come for the San Diego Padres.
We welcome you.
Kyle Hart, Nick Pivetta, Jason Hayward, Connor Joe. Got $1 million for each of you.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
And keeping as Zeno said, they put together a roster now that he thinks they can bang going forward.
Well, and listen, I mean, how pissed would we be? How mad were we when they gave Matt Carpenter all that money? At least they're like being smart with some of these deals.
They gave Matt Carpenter 6, if I'm not mistaken. No, 12.
12 or something.
2 or something. Yeah,
Crazy.
13.
Would you rather have Matt Carpenter or 12 $1 million players?
I'd rather have Bo hit than Matt Carpenter. No offense, great guy, great big league career, but I'd rather have Bo in a clutch situation than Matt Carpenter. I'm not joking. It was terrible. It was a complete waste of time and money and energy. So yeah, at least they, something to build on here. Like, at least they're being way smarter about some of these deals right now.
Well, they've won Ryan Cohen back. He has tweeted, stockpiling back-end arms to compete for the 5 spot. This is rounding out the roster like we've been dreaming of. Getting real excited. LFG SD.
Let's go.
All right, even Mr. Padre fanatic himself was getting a little on edge this offseason.
Yeah, he's getting a little dicey.
But AJ apparently has won him back in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Get it going.
With the moves that the Padres have made. It didn't take a lot, did it?
No, it didn't.
I mean,
Nick Pivetta really helps.
Are there still people out there who are not on board?
Yes.
We can talk about it. We'll hear from Kyle Hart, though, when we come back and give our biggest fan name. Final hour of Ben and Woods coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. think Woods and I are fighting now all of a
Oh,
sudden.
we're not fighting, but it's freaked me out.
Not trying to.
Just go with the flow, dude.
You always want me to go with the flow. That's all you ever want,
go
is
with the
just
flow.
go with the flow. We have a 4-hour program.
He starts peppering me with questions about the last hour. I'm like, just roll. Let's go. Let's have some fun.
I know it seems so easy for you, but I'm constantly sitting here thinking I've got to plan out every
Dude, I got it.
5-10 minute segment to make sure that we have 4 hours covered.
Oh, we're good.
And if we both just went with the flow the entire time, the show would be a disaster.
I don't think so.
Yes, it would.
No, I don't think so.
Now, if we just did my style, it would also be a disaster. That's why we work together.
That's very true.
Just had some questions about. We have Paulie's got some good Throwback Thursday stuff.
Yeah.
Want to get to this Kyle Hart audio?
Yeah.
We've got Aztecs tickets to give away. We have a Rhino report.
Don't
And
ask me. I'll roll with you. Let's go.
I'm just trying to
Just
squeeze
go.
it all into the. All right, let's just get going. All right.
You can do. You have carte blanche to do
Thank you.
whatever you want, and you know me. I will roll with you.
It's white card in French, I believe.
Is that what it means?
Carte blanche.
Carte blanche.
Yes.
You have carte blanche.
You have carte blanche.
Carte blanche.
Looking at Kyle Hart right now with 97.3 The Fan out there killing it. Spring training, getting all this content up.
All right,
Great job.
we'll get Sammy's audio from the newest Padre right after we give out today's biggest fan name. If you hear your name called, you got 10 minutes to call us back at 833-288-0973 and qualify for our grand prize drawing 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game coming up this season. You can register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. But right now, for the next 10 minutes, Andrew Dixon from Vista is our biggest fan. Andrew Dixon from Vista. That's a real name, right?
Can't believe he fell for it again.
No, that's a real name. Get 10 minutes to call us back. 833-288-0973. Yeah, Padres were ready for this one. They usually, Jeff Passan or Dennis Lin or Kevin Acee or someone will announce an agreement, and then they'll sign a guy a couple days later, and then the guy shows up. Kyle Hart, the Padres just dropped that one on us. They sent an email, they sent a tweet,
It was
and,
like, here
and
you
he's
go.
there. He's in Peoria. They couldn't hide it any longer. Who's this guy that has a locker in the Padres clubhouse named Kyle Hart? Well, he's the newest player.
It's like Willie Mays Hayes just showed up.
I don't see a
Showed
Hayes.
up. There's a
I don't
Hayes.
see a Hart
I don't see a
on the
Hart on the
list.
list. I don't know. Wish we had him 2 years ago.
Carry him
We
right
did.
out on his cot, and he wakes up outside. Get him a uniform. Yeah, they do need a left-handed pitcher. So again, the guy had a monster season in Korea last year.
It's beastly.
Before that, was not really considered a major prospect in baseball. Had one cup of coffee with the Red Sox.
Didn't go great.
15.5 ERA. Didn't go great. Bounced around the minor leagues for most of his career. But now he's got a shot in the big leagues with the San Diego Padres on a $1 million deal with an option for next year. Here's what Kyle Hart had to say this morning with Sammy Levitt here in the Padres clubhouse.
Can you tell us why this opportunity made the most sense for you and why you chose the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear as soon as I talked to AJ, Josh, Ruben. I think it was pretty clear where this team is at, and I felt like they wanted me, and that was something that I kind of set out at the beginning of free agency was let's kind of combine opportunity with a chance to win, a great clubhouse, a great culture, and I was putting those things first in my journey, and as soon as I started talking to those guys, it was clear that this was going to be the best fit for me.
What did last year do for you, and did it kind of work out to plan?
Yeah, I told that's one of the questions that they had for me was what changed and what worked for you, and I think it was really just the blank canvas that I was given by the Dinos, just to kind of do my thing, be myself, and that's something I kind of latched onto. I felt like my last couple of years in the minor leagues, I didn't know kind of who I was, what my role was, and over there it was like, hey, you got 100 pitches, we need as many outs as you can get, and it was very simple. So I think I simplified things and just kind of found myself. Obviously, there was some pitch design stuff that I changed, some mechanic stuff that I changed, but most of all, it was just having a clean opportunity.
And assuming you went over there with the idea of 1 year and then try to see what you could do?
That wasn't really on my mind going over there. I just wanted to pitch the best that I could, and whatever opportunities arose beyond that I was going to be happy with. And I think to kind of answer your question more clearly, like when I got into July and August, I realized what the potential might be. And I think it was in the back of my mind, and you kind of keep shoving it down, like, hey, let's worry about that when it's time. So I did a good job of being in the present, especially with my teammates and my staff over there, just trying to pitch the best that I could for the Dinos, and that got me here.
So that's Kyle Hart, and I had the exact same thought as GSDP in our chat. He looks like a San Diegan. If you walk past him in PB, you'd just think, oh yeah, he just looks like he belongs here. He's got the hair. He's just got
look at that hair.
He's got the look. He looks like he's lived here his entire life, even though he's from I think Cincinnati originally is where he grew up, and then was in the Red Sox organization, Phillies, Mariners, and now Korea and to the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, big, nice little addition. We'll see what he's got, and very low risk for the Padres. And I know he changed his arm slot when he was over there and led to a lot of success in the KBO. Means, it doesn't mean anything really at this point, but obviously going to come in and pitch with some confidence, knowing he can do it and get outs, and he's got a chance, man, and that's always a good thing.
All right, it is Throwback Thursday. Paulie always goes back in our archives to see what happened this week in Ben and Wood's show lore. And he's got a couple of moments here for us, so I thought we'd just get to it right now. And I don't remember this first one. This was, he says, the very first ever Ben-splaining moment on the show.
Definitely not the last.
This was exactly 5 years ago
just
today.
right before the pandemic started in February of 2020, February 13th, 2020.
Sometimes it's fun, man, when you go through the archives here and you'll hear in this clip, we're talking about Jace Tingler getting ready for his first full spring training.
Oh yeah.
So of course, this story then gets legs. You know what I mean by a story getting legs?
Yes.
It adds to the fuel.
You're going to mansplain to Woods?
Are you mansplaining? Woods, do you know when I say a story, what I'm referring to? Yes, I know what it means when it gets legs. Am I a moron?
So Woods, at 6:35, we're going to interview Annie Heilbrunn. It means she's going to be on the phone, and you're going to talk to her and ask her questions.
Oh, okay.
All right. National Radio Day.
Mansplainer. No, we're good.
He did it. It's always good. Everyone, I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page.
I'm on the same page. Legs. Woods, this is what we in the business call legs. All right, I got it.
Wow.
So then a short time later, Jace Tingler comes out, new manager of the Padres, his very first season media scrum. They call it. You know what a scrum?
Yes, I know you can't see he's got his hands up doing the, do you know what a scrum is? The finger quote. I know what a scrum is, for the love of God. So it's just such a good, it's incredible. He stops and looks at me. Legs, right? Yeah, you're some seasoned reporter with the press pass thing in your hat.
Legs. You know what I mean by a story getting legs?
Who do you think you're talking to?
I'm honestly just trying to be inclusive, and I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. That's all. That's all.
Every now and then
I don't want you to feel dumb.
Why would I feel dumb? Who doesn't know what legs mean?
Know what a scrum was.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't want you to feel like, what is he talking about over there?
Remember the movie The Firm?
Yes.
Where that old man is the security guy, and he looked at him, he goes, what do you think I am, the effing night watchman? That's how I feel working with Ben sometimes. What do you think? You just picked me up out of a gutter somewhere?
This was 5 years ago. You were somewhat still new to the whole, sports talk.
Yeah, but I'm not new to the universe.
We worked together for 2 years.
Right.
Wasn't 2 weeks.
Legs. Every now and then he'll bust one out where I'm like, Occam's razor. What is that, right? I honestly, when you said that 7 years ago, I don't think I'd ever heard the term Occam's razor. And I laughed my ass off. Throw out the baby with the bathwater. I don't think I'd ever heard that before. Those two, I was like, I'd like a little more clarification on it. But no.
Occam's razor.
I know what legs means. So good. And a scrum. You're a gem. What do you think I am here, the effing night watchman? Such an Wilford Brimley with the best line of all time.
I just feel like it's always a mistake to assume everyone knows what you're talking about.
That's fair.
All right. Let's go to cut 3. We
Okay.
can save the second one maybe
Okay.
for the next segment because it's a banger. I mean,
yeah.
It's Woodsy at his absolute best, giving a critic their chance to shine.
Right.
But, that one's a little bit longer.
But
I would
but
do this
first,
bit every day.
We have before Papa Roach, there was Disturbed.
Yes, this is incredible.
Yeah, Down with the Sickness. No idea how we got into this on February of 2022.
Okay.
But it led to some elite Ben content.
I almost just had a stroke. I can't even do it. Can you do your best? Like he does it.
Of course, we were talking about
harder
Down with
than
the
it sounds.
Sickness.
Down
by
with the Sickness.
Disturbed.
Pretty good.
Do you have the
Paul.
actual one, just so everyone knows what we're talking about here?
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Ben had no. Ben goes, ah! Oh, you got to do the. Hey, hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Wah! Slower than he
hard to
does.
get it.
It's hard.
With the music, murdered me.
It's hard to get it. His face is unbelievable. Paulie does it the best. Paulie nailed it. I can't do it fast enough.
Who actually does this?
Some guy in Disturbed. Still hits pretty good, that song. Still gets you that
And
intro.
that song is called Down with the Sickness.
That's right. It is hard. That's a hard thing to do. Have you gotten any better?
No.
It's you just wow like a baby.
I still can't roll my R's. You think
That's
I can
true.
wah?
Wah!
Paulie's definitely
It's fine.
It kind of hurts.
Then there's another part in the intro where he goes like that.
You gotta suffer for your craft.
You
apparently.
do. play the part where he vomits.
Pull that up.
Yeah, you got to pull up Down with the Sickness.
Oh my god.
You are incredible. You're amazing. It's so good.
All right, we'll come back. We will have the third entry in our Throwback Thursday when a listener thought he could do our job just as well as us.
Crushed it.
And then we'll give away some San Diego State basketball tickets as well. All coming up. First, though, let me tell you about sdfatloss.com.
Here we go. I found it for you.
There you go. That's easier.
Now I sound like a seal trying to do that. So, everyone knows my story. It was 2 summers ago, so a little over a year and a half ago, that just knew that I needed to do something. Didn't like the programs I had done before that involved eating like 5 bars every single day and just one meal. I like my food. I like real food. And they told me at sdfatloss.com, now you can eat real food and still lose weight fast, up to a pound of fat per day, 10 to 20% of your body weight in just 60 days. Sounded too good to be true, but no, it absolutely was true. I ate steak and chicken and vegetables, and I lost 40 pounds in 60 days. If I can do it, I know you can as well. My message has gotten out. We've had so many Tier 1s who have signed up for the program. You've heard some of their stories, like Manny lost 93 pounds, went through the program, lost 50, then went on and lost 43 more. You can be a success story as well. Just go today to sdfatloss.com. Set up your free consultation. They will explain the program, how it works, how they will give you the support you need, not just to lose the weight, but to keep the weight off. And right now, you're going to get $200 off the program through February. Keep that special going here, because we want people to lose weight, be the best selves that they can be with sdfatloss.com. And honestly, it's less expensive than a lot of other programs out there and more effective. You lose weight faster, and it's just so more sustainable. You don't have to rely on the injections for the rest of your life that are expensive. You just do it the right way, like I have. It's easy to follow. It's easy to stick to. It's sdfatloss.com. Check them out today. Go online, set up your free consultation at sdfatloss.com. All right, having some fun on a Throwback Thursday with Ben and Woods. We'll give away some Aztecs tickets to Saturday's game against Boise State at Viejas Arena in just a couple of minutes. But we had a couple of throwback clips for you in our last segment, and we've got one left, and it's definitely, I think, one of our favorites over the years.
It's tough to listen to.
It is. It's hard. It is hard to listen to.
I don't remember the exact context. Was this still? This might have even been when we were doing the 5 o'clock hour.
I think so. I think it was the 5.
So I don't think Ben was there, or maybe he was just out. I don't know. But it was you and me that morning, early, and you had a guy that was, I don't know if he was publicly or in your DMs or whatever. Just, you guys suck. I could
do this.
I could host a show like this in my sleep.
So I just did the bit. Like, all right, it's yours. It's all yours. You got it. Just call in. I'm going to give you the whole first 15 minutes of the show. You got it. Our opening break's about 12 to 15 minutes. And I said...
I mean, we brought him on immediately.
Music stopped, and I said, buddy, the floor is yours.
You gave him a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Well, and, it's not like I told him like the day before. No, tomorrow. If you call in, you can have it. It's all yours. And I mean, look, he's a good dude. He's still on Twitter, still active. And, but I was like, go, have at it. It's all you. This is what happened. All right, everybody, good morning. It's time for Daimio and Woods. I'm Woods, that's Paul. And joining us on the line remotely today is our friend Daimio. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. I got to give myself a little intro music just for that.
Oh, he's got his own intro music he's holding up to the phone.
Daimio does it. All right, let's go.
All right, here we go.
Hey, who was that? I got to give props.
He's like stalling.
Was that Ben that snuck in that line? If it was 94, that'd be cool.
No, that was me.
I dug that.
That was me. All right, here we go. All right, in 3, 2, 1. The floor is yours, Daimio. Entertain us.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out first of all to SD. This is where I've been born and raised. So to be on the radio in SD, and who's ever listening on that Odyssey app, I got people out of state that are not going to be up this early, but they can listen to it later. I think that's awesome. SD, this is where I've grown up, man.
All right.
And like you said, it's kind of a slowdown period for sports right now. What do we have going on? We got that baseball. They're still negotiating that. Super Bowl. A lot of people, my brother, a lot of people were real happy with the Rams winning. I, for one, I can't jump on that train, man. I was a hardcore San Diego Chargers fan. I couldn't jump on the LA Chargers. That's just something I couldn't do. And I wasn't about to switch and be like, now I'm a Rams fan all of a sudden. That's not my deal.
You got like 13 minutes, and let's stop. Let's stop. And so your phone's cutting in and out. So that's, I mean, obviously it would sound different if you were in the studio, number one, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I told my boy. I was like, it's going to sound like.
Oh, and you can't curse on the radio. So really? I'm going to say we should maybe kibosh this because you can't curse.
Oh, my God. I mean, skipped foreplay entirely, got right to sports.
Just got right. Well, no. Geography first.
Yes.
SD.
Geography.
I'm SD. I was born here.
Shout out SD.
Shout out SD. Mentioned it a couple times. Look, I had fun with it. Entertain us. He had fun with it.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. SD.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out first of all.
You don't.
Talking about the Chargers.
Talking about the Rams.
7 years later.
I really had fun with that. It's hard to listen to. It's not again, I've said it many times. We're not laying brick in here, man. But it's not as easy as you might think it is. So it was a chance. Gave him a shot, man. Gave him a shot. Now, if he had come, I'll tell you this. You guys know me. If he had come on the radio and slayed it and gave me 15 minutes of dynamic, I would have been like, dude, you knocked that out of the park. I was wrong. You guys know me.
He might be hosting his own show right now.
100%. I absolutely would have said, bro, let me tell you, you absolutely crushed that. You crushed it. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Now, do we struggle at times?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
No doubt about it.
Nobody's perfect, man. Nobody is perfect, but
I do see what you were doing there.
Yeah.
You wanted to make a point. and I think your point was made.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, you gave him a full night to sleep on it.
Dude,
Have
you
a
had
story, a joke,
anything.
a punchline, like anything.
Okay, good morning, San Diego. It's your old pal Daimio. Look, I got to tell you guys what a great opportunity this is.
Right.
This is so much fun. I'm nervous as hell, but this is, let's get into it. Paulie, tell me how you got in the business. Woodsy, tell me that, whatever. Interview, tell a story, whatever.
Yeah,
man.
I got to.
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out first of all to SD. This is where I've been born and raised. So to be on the radio and SD.
Just a lot of SD.
A lot of SDs in there. A lot of SDs. I got a, speaking of shout outs, I have a quick, kind of serious shout out. You guys know my buddy Craig, the guy that came in the Christmas and holiday show, brought us the big Ben and Woods neon.
Oh, yeah.
That we still haven't hung. He's a very kind dude. Texted me this morning. He said, I need a small favor. My mother-in-law, who's been a Padres fan since 1969 and a big Tier 1, Betty Vasquez, is having brain surgery either today or tomorrow. Could use some Tier 1 prayer and support. Could you shout her out for me before you guys leave for the weekend? She loves you guys and listens all the time. So, Betty Vasquez, 100%.
Shout out Betty.
Shout out Betty. We got your back, and hope it goes well for you. And thank you so much for listening. And be thinking about you today or tomorrow, whenever that goes down. But yeah, Craig's my man, and absolute no problem at all to give that shout out.
Quickly, back to sports for a second. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Really good Mountain West team at home, falls behind by 13 points early against a not very good Mountain West team, has to rally late to pull a victory out of the fire. Now, that's the San Diego State story. Happened in New Mexico last night at the Pit. They were down 13 to Wyoming, just like the Aztecs were. At home, had to rally back, just barely snuck out a 71-67 win last night. So it's not just San Diego State that sometimes struggles in games that they are expected to win in the Mountain West Conference. Happened in New Mexico, but the Lobos continue to lead by a game over Utah State. And then you've got a three-way tie for third place at 9-4. Aztecs, Colorado State, and Boise State. And Boise State's going to be at Viejas Arena on Saturday night,
yeah, buddy,
for a pretty big game because the winner is going to be in third. The losers drop into fifth, and a tougher road through the Mountain West tournament, and also a tougher road to the NCAA tournament. This is a game the Aztecs, again, probably have to win to stay on the right side of the bubble. They're still right there on the last four teams in on the NCAA tournament at the last Lunardi bubble. So if you want to be there, cheer for the Aztecs on Saturday night. Here's your chance to win a pair of tickets. We've got 2 tickets for the game against Boise State. Call now. Be the third caller, 833-288-0973. We will give you a pair of tickets. You can get your own tickets at goaztecs.com for the Aztecs and Broncos. I think it's a 7 p.m. tip on Saturday night at Viejas Arena.
It's going to be, I would imagine, pretty insane in there.
I think so.
That's a big one. These
I
are
sure
great
hope so.
tickets.
If you're on the fence, if you got tickets and you're on the fence about going, get there, be loud.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, hey, I wanted to tell you guys, Underdog is one of the leading sports apps. You can now play it right here in our state. You want to win up to 1,000 times your money? You can with Underdog to play. All you have to do is choose whether a player will go higher or lower with one of their stats. Like if you're into basketball, college basketball, NBA, points, assists, rebounds, and more. I'm not sure about the golf today. I don't know that I would make any picks on golf today, but they are going to have the Genesis. I just don't know if they're going to get it going today, but you can do all kinds of picks with golf as well. You can mix and match across other sports. Play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Turn $1 into 1,000 just with your sports knowledge. And I hear from a lot of you guys. You guys have a lot of sports knowledge. So listen. Very simple to play, very fun to play. Download the Underdog app. Sign up now using the promo code WOODS to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code WOODS. Claim your special offer today. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
All right, I got some news for you. I was doubtful. I was skeptical. But play is underway at the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. First groups are off the first and 10th tee on the South Course on a really yucky day for golf in San Diego.
Don't you hate showcasing San Diego like this to the rest of the country?
Yeah,
like,
it's tough.
they're not used to seeing this when they look at Torrey Pines on a Saturday golf tournament or whatever.
But it'll be nice by the weekend, I think.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
but
it should be nice by tomorrow afternoon.
But it's going to be a backlog of golfers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if they're going to play, I mean, as long as they'll play in the rain, as long as the puddles don't start forming on the greens, and it doesn't sound like the really heavy stuff,
come down for quite a while.
Come down for quite a while. I keep playing here. No, it's really not until like 7 o'clock tonight that Megan Perry last night said the really heavy stuff is
Tonight,
yeah, overnight, and then by the tomorrow morning it should be back to light stuff, and then by around noon tomorrow, I think we're done, and then it's going to get nice over the weekend. But they are out there, and I can't imagine it's going to be much fun to be playing golf today.
I think they've already banged opening weekend of Paulie and my adult league. I think we're already out. I think they've already.
The field's going to be overly waterlogged,
saturated. So that's a bummer.
Well, at Torrey, they've got teams of landscapers,
sure,
and,
taking care
ground
of
crews are taking care of the course to make sure it's as playable as possible. So I know we were going to play our wishbone auction round today at the Goat, but we canceled that. We're not mutters, as they say.
No,
on the PGA
I'm not doing
Tour.
this today. There's no chance.
We're going to reschedule to a nicer day. There's
That's
plenty
right.
of nice days in San Diego. They're being forced to play golf on one of the not nice days.
It's true.
Today at the Genesis. But it is underway. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store and everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 4/5, plus save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples. Adam's working on, we just got some sound on A.J. Preller from spring training. His first comments, we'll get to that before the end of the show. First, though, the Rindle Report after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Guys, last report I talked mostly about the North County, but this time around we got problems elsewhere. Crash on westbound King Freeway near Massachusetts appears to be blocking the slow lane. Tow trucks on scene. Crash on the 43rd Avenue off-ramp of northbound 805. Also, Murray Ridge on-ramp to North 805 is blocked with a collision. Going to find on Friars Road on-ramp to North 163. Collision involving a couple vehicles, not showing if any lanes are blocked. Also traveling on the southbound 5 right past Gilman. We had a spin out here earlier, and now looks like a vehicle went right off the roadway over to the right. South 5 before E Street. Watch out for looks like some blue tarp in the roadway. In the North County, crash involving a semi northbound side of the 15 just past El Norte Parkway. It's over the right shoulder. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul. All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
I think you should work hot beef into the Rindle Report.
Hot
intro.
beef.
Hot beef.
Hot beef!
Why not? At this point.
You know what? Why not?
Why not?
See what we can do.
Wait,
Yeah.
what was that? Was from when
That
Stop
was you
Hot
just
beef!
no. That was you yelling yesterday incessantly. Hot beef.
Hot
and
beef.
you wouldn't stop. You just wouldn't stop. You
Hot
kept
beef.
doing it.
Hot beef. Hot
No,
beef.
but
what was the
just you? That was just you. There was no story.
We were very confused.
Why can't I remember?
You just
exactly
started yelling hot beef.
I remember. I'm just not going to tell you.
Oh, I remember too.
Oh, when you have beef with someone. That's where it comes
That's
from.
right. Hot beef.
Hot beef.
Hot beef. As opposed to cold beef.
Cold beef.
All right. Gentlemen, we have been wall-to-wall baseball coverage. A lot of Padres news to discuss. But let's, how about another local team? San Diego FC. We are getting ready for their first match of
What did you say?
San Diego FC.
Oh. He says San Diego C.
San
He's
Diego
like
FC.
jammed it together real fast.
San Diego FC.
SDFC for sure.
They were in
beef for
preseason friendly match yesterday in the Coachella Valley Invitational, match number 2 for them. They lost their first one over the weekend, and they were blanked yesterday by the Portland Timbers 3-0.
3-0.
3-0, right?
So that's
Got to remember all my
6-1.
The goal
aggregate.
The what do they call it in soccer? The goal differential.
Yeah. Down -5.
Ben's like, but they're playing really well.
All right, so they gave up an early goal. They were down 1-0. And they had a few chances at the equalizer, and it was still 1-0, like with 10 minutes left.
14th minute for the first goal, and then the last two both came in the 81st and 84th minute.
Yeah.
So
Garbage time, at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's preseason. They're playing, I think it's the same place where they do Coachella, isn't it?
No, I'm going to overreact.
Polo Grounds?
I'm going to overreact to these like I do to Padres spring training losses.
You've been to Coachella. Is that where they do Coachella?
Polo Grounds.
The Polo Grounds?
Yeah.
These are the same. They're playing Coachella right now.
Probably
headlining Coachella.
Less drugs and alcohol, I would hope.
More
For those
more
guys,
soccer
more
balls.
soccer, less
They
drugs
have,
and alcohol.
They have one more game Saturday morning at 10 a.m. against New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable. 0-2. One goal. It's unacceptable.
Mikey Vargas on the hot seat. I'm just asking the question.
This is unacceptable. Figure it out.
It's an embarrassment
This
to
is,
our town.
I'm embarrassed. Here we
Are
go.
we ever going to win a game? Are we ever going to win a match?
Here we go again. The San Diego sports curse, alive and well.
I know they're unveiling their away kits tomorrow. I think,
nice.
At their,
I
team
have a
store.
home kit.
Yes, you have a home kit,
Yeah.
but their away kits are going to be unveiled tomorrow.
We'll look forward to that.
All right, that's it
I'll
for
take a
sports.
win. I don't care about the kits, Ben. I want dubs. Okay?
It's an expansion team. I
That's
mean,
SDFC dooming. Well, you got to hold them. Yeah, you got to hold them accountable.
I mean, the Padres didn't even have a winning season for like 14 years when they were an expansion team.
Slow starters.
Also unacceptable.
Slow starters. Matt says there's some gnarly dooming in the game stream of a preseason
Fast.
game. It feels right, right?
There was a shot off the post by Chicky.
Yep.
A couple chances.
I love it, man. We are the.
Mikey said, "Hey, we did some things well. We controlled the ball."
Is Mike Schilt?
No, yeah, exactly. Mike Schilt.
I will
All of our
say,
mics.
I've never been a soccer fan.
Right.
It's never appealed to me. I am looking forward, open mind.
Yeah, of
I am
course.
looking forward to learning more about the game and trying to embrace the sport and the team as much as I can. It's much easier when you have a local team, for sure. Even if it's just MLS, I don't see myself ever waking up at 4 a.m. to go watch a Premier League game on the weekend. But I'm looking forward to learning more about it and trying to just at least go into it with an open mind.
And they don't have the games at 4 a.m. Fortunately,
Yeah.
they're
that is
at
good.
normal times.
Actually, it wouldn't really bother us that
Soccer
much.
fans would be so used to it. They should do that. They should just do like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
games at
local
Snapdragon Stadium.
games, yeah.
Everyone's so used to getting up early to watch soccer.
All right, well, we will stop it with the sports and move along here. Still got enough time to get that AJ Preller clip in. This is maybe the most disgusting sports story or food story that I've ever read on the Rinder Report. How do you guys feel about Papa John's as far as the chain pizza ranks?
It's low on my list, but pizza's pizza.
I'll eat it.
Yeah.
In a pinch.
You know what's good on pizza?
Pizza.
Hot beef.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I think the first thing I think of with Papa John's pizza is the little cup of garlic sauce that
Yes.
you get with every pizza.
That scares me a little.
I've never enjoyed the buttery garlic sauce.
I don't know that there's any butter or actual garlic
Do you
in
dip
it.
the
It's
pizza
just,
in, or do you drizzle it over
It
the
seems
pizza?
very fake to me.
I don't know.
It's too. It's thick.
it's
Viscous.
It's very
It's too damn viscous, man.
It looks like it would last forever without refrigeration, which scares me.
In a bunker of some sort, you go to like, oh my god, look at this, and you open it and go, no, it's still good. It's very viscous.
Society collapsed 27 years ago,
Yeah.
but you can still
eat this.
consume the garlic butter sauce from Papa John's.
The garlic sauce is synonymous with Papa John's,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of people like it. It's not going away. In fact, some people must like it so much that they would be interested in the Papa John's limited edition bath bomb that is meant to
That is repugnant. I already smell like that anyway.
Garlic butter sauce.
So I don't need to double up on my garlic pit underarms.
It's one of those. It's a promotional
Did you
thing.
eat garlic for lunch? No, I bathed in it.
Yeah, no, I sat in the bath, put it in my bath
A bath bomb
of garlic.
of garlic butter sauce.
It's literally one of the smells that you try to eradicate the most.
But it's weird. If you're cooking with garlic, you're like, oh God, yes, more.
But
if you smell like
when
garlic,
it emanates from your pores, it all of a sudden becomes less pleasant.
They're not selling these. They're holding a contest, of course, on their website, and they want to award these garlic butter sauce bath bombs to super fans of Papa John's and people that share their love for dipping sauce.
Who's
Is
the
there a
fan?
super fan of Papa John's other than Shaq?
God, I love it so much. Like I can't even deny how much I love it.
It's okay in a pinch. That's fine. That's
If
your
I'm
niche.
at a little kid's birthday party and it's there, I'm like, oh, I'll have a
That's your
slice.
lane.
That's it.
If it's there, it's okay. It's fine. That's your lane. Just stay in your lane. Don't try to be round table.
Who wants to smell like pizza or garlic in the bath?
Yeah, no, I'm out. Yeah. No, thank you. And then finally, this could have been like a fun don't do this story. Lot of the same vibes here as do you guys ever go to Dick's Last Resort? Or
yeah.
at least you're familiar with it, right? You sit down and you get insulted the whole time.
It's great. It's like Ben coming to work every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is our Woods' last resort.
So there is a Vietnamese place in Australia that hands out fortune cookies with their meals that are R-rated.
Oh.
And that's their whole bit. Everybody knows, like, you go there looking forward to your R-rated fortune cookie.
Okay.
And they have a fortune cookie company that makes regular fortune cookies as well, and then they make the R-rated fortunes to send out to this particular spot in Australia. But the fortune cookie company, they made a big clerical mistake. The messages were right on the fortunes, but they shipped them to other restaurants expecting normal.
People got surprised by
fortune
R-rated
cookies.
fortune cookie messages.
Let me see your boobs.
People
is what
were
it says.
people at these regular restaurants were like extremely
can you read any of
confused.
these or not?
Can you read any
Are
of
we
them?
allowed to?
So not all of them were dirty. Like one said, you are capable of great things. All you have to do is look at your phone all day. You won't be that great. Sorry.
It's not even clever.
This one says the year
Lost
of the
in
snake.
translation.
The year of the snake.
The year of the snake bears good fortune. Your divorce is coming soon. And then
So it's just insulting.
And then it ended
Don
with
Rickles here.
Says your spouse only married you for your money, you ugly C-word.
That sounds like our Yelp reviews, actually.
So the restaurant that ordered them found out about when the company emailed them to say that they would not be doing swear words anymore. They're just backing out of the R-rated fortune cookie business.
Yeah, we've decided to get out of the
This
R-rated
one, we
fortune
screwed
cookie
up.
business.
We can't really cover this one
Now
up.
we're getting into the X-rated fortune.
Did you ever go to Dick's Last Resort?
I have been, yes.
Did you enjoy it? Probably.
no.
I think you're a glutton for it.
I don't know. I felt bad for the servers.
I know, I did too.
I felt like that they were being forced to do something that was not all that comfortable.
They do that at the Wiener Circle in Chicago. They just scream at you. When you go
Hot dog
I
restaurant?
just want to get a hot dog, and they just light you up. It's pretty fun. Where's another place? I think, Dick's was that, Wiener Circle. It's an odd business model.
Soup Nazi.
Yeah, it's an odd business model. Like, no, we're just going to insult our
Wiener
customers.
Circle, is that the one in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've seen like a little clip about that one.
They don't mess around there.
All right, do we have AJ Preller
Yes.
audio? All right, this is the last couple minutes of the show, but this is fresh, hot off the presses from Sam Levitt.
Hot beef, if you will.
In Peoria, Arizona, AJ Preller, his first media availability of the 2025 season.
A couple things done here in the last 24 hours. How big a deal is it to add those two guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like we've talked about it. I think every offseason, a little different paces, and we've been patient, and ultimately we added, adding Kyle Hart gives us, another starting pitching option, left-handed, a guy that looks like he made some adjustments in Korea last year, and I think in general, like we like the group we have here in our camp, but we know that. We're always going to be looking for opportunity, and especially from a starting pitching standpoint, we know we need a lot of options and need guys to take innings and quality innings, and that's been our focus over the last couple of weeks.
How challenging or not challenging was it to get the deals done the way you've done them? Be it Michael King, where you structured it the way you did, Pivetta would structure the way it is, like to help with the cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think again we have a creative group. Our baseball ops team. Josh Stein, Nick Ennis. We have a group that again we always look for opportunity, the ability to try to find ways to get things done. Peter used to talk about the art of the possible. So I think again, like we understand every year is a little different. What we can do from a dollar standpoint, and just trying to look to find opportunities that make sense for us both in the short and long term. And hopefully we lined up on a couple of the last few days.
I like it. Sounds the same.
Does sound the same.
Yeah.
The same AJ saying words, but not really saying anything while he's saying those words.
It's an art form.
It is.
Yeah. He's really good at it.
Do you know what the
I, for one, am glad that we rushed to get to that audio.
Do you know what the payroll is now that AJ has spoken? No.
Anything else coming down the pipe? No idea.
I don't know. Maybe.
Are they open to adding players and making the team better? Always.
Always.
Yeah.
Always listening.
Does it mean that they're going to? Don't know.
We'll see. It's a hard team to cover. They can be.
Is that all we have from AJ, or that's it?
That's what Adam forced us to.
That's what we pulled off.
There's one more, but we're
out of time. You know what?
Oh, man,
we'll leave it for Annie and Elston.
Yeah, they can
chew on that for 4 hours.
Yeah.
The insight.
Well, it was a fun one today. Feels like, baseball is back. We know that, but it feels like baseball's back in San Diego. A little action.
I mean, 2 new pitchers since yesterday's show. Who knows what's in store before we rejoin you tomorrow for the Friday edition of Ben and Woods.
Can't wait.
Should be fun. Let's see. Anything else we have planned for tomorrow, Friday, Paulie?
It's Valentine's Day.
It's
Valentine's. What are we doing?
Well, it's Nick Pivetta's birthday tomorrow, too. Maybe he'll officially be announced. I don't think they've officially announced Nick Pivetta.
No, they have not yet. We need to get some stuff on the books for Valentine's Day. We did Ben's Valentine's one time. That
Candy
was
Hearts.
Fun.
We did, yeah.
I liked Ben Reed's Romance last year.
Ben Reed's Romance was elite.
That has to happen again tomorrow.
Well, we'll definitely replay the one from last year because it was so good. Remember that? Barry White.
Can we come up with a dirtier one even?
Yeah, I'll find one.
More sensual lyrics.
You know that.
Well, that's got that to look forward to tomorrow.
Correct.
All right, Annie and Elston are coming up next for our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Rydell. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Be safe out there on the roads. From all of us at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.